swaps, we've had different wins, we've had different play styles all come out, and it has ended in not what we expected, to be honest. I feel like the leaderboard isn't actually how I would have seen it from the start, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But let's welcome everyone in. Although, wait, bring it back to us. We'll go to the standings in a sec. But I want to welcome you guys in, right? Rev and Jika, our final Destigate today in the main season. How are you guys doing?
Well, I'm doing fantastic. I'm ready to close things up. I'm ready to see. Honestly, I hope for a lot of tiebreakers. I really yearn for more League of Legends content.
Ooh.
And most of the matches have been bangers. So why won't we have a couple more bangers to close the split?
A lot of people yearn for the mines. Rev yearns for those extra games. I get it. Jika, how are you feeling? Do you feel like it's going to happen today? More games?
I think based on how many scenarios in which we get tiebreakers, it's quite likely. It is quite likely indeed, but the caveat to that is we keep seeing people playing at the level we've seen them play at the last couple of weeks, and pressure doesn't start to get too much. That's what I'm going to be looking for today.
Okay, we'll see if it does start to play a factor. Let's bring up the standings now. Let's have a little look at what we're talking about in terms of who is going to be in tiebreakers. So let's break it down real quick and easy, as simple as it can be. So Paragon and Verzik, as you may see, could potentially go into a tiebreaker as they play each other today. That is not true. If Paragon win, they will go in fourth place because they are already going to have a 2-0 over Verzik. However, the top of the table is where I need to draw your attention. So if Ruddy are to win against Venom Crest, they will take number 1 spot and cannot be put into a tiebreaker. However, if Lions Creed were to lose their game, they would then have to tiebreaker against Venom Crest. On the flip side, if Venom Crest pick up a win and Lions Creed pick up a win, we could be going into a 3-way tie. All other situations, I'm guessing you can take for yourselves. But we'll talk about them if they do start to happen later on in the evening. This, however, is going to be our first game, our first matchup, and it is one of the biggest we could have drawn. I think it's actually the most hyped matchup we could have got on the final day. It is Ruddy versus Venom Crest. They are taking it on, and it is all for all the marbles, essentially. This is the victory moment for these two teams, but who will take it home, right? Last time we saw these two teams, it was Ruddy that did get the better of Venom Crest. But I've got to say, we've had a bit of time since that matchup came, and these two teams, they've been doing a lot. They've been winning often. I think that Venom Crest have only lost one in the last kind of 5 matches, and they're on a 4-win streak. Ruddy haven't lost since week 4. They're scaling. They're making big plays. They've both beaten Lions Creed, and I feel like there's just a little bit more amp in the air for this matchup. But let's look at the teams. Let's start it off right here, right? Let's have a look at the Ruddy roster. And Jika, I'm going to let you talk us through these players.
So this is a roster that we know tried and true, right? Akers, Ketsuo, Sin, Jamsu, the staple of what was for Ruddy for so long. And we've got Puru in the jungle, who we have seen is more than just the Zac one trick. Doing very well, this roster. Very solid players all round. Taking stock, as we kind of tend to like to do on this on the last day of the regular split, this team is probably the fan favorite to take first, go uncontested to win this game, because of how long the team's been playing together and how skilled the players are individually. I think if we look at how well Ruddy have been playing consistently over the last 3-4 weeks, we really start to see why they're in the position to take sole possession of first.
Yeah, and I think that a little bit of around what I said earlier about, okay, where are we expecting teams to land? I feel like Ruddy being in the top isn't surprising to anyone. They had high expectations going in from week 1. They've met them. They've gone further than exceeding them as well, because there was that little bit of a tipple where we thought, okay, Lions Creed might be taking number 1 for sure. So I feel like Ruddy have kind of met and potentially even slightly exceeded what people thought. And if they win today, they will definitely have set the tone for the potential playoffs. But Rev, we're going to talk about a very crucial part, right? We talked a little bit in the green room before we came on about certain picks, talking about Varus. That is something that Sin has been playing a lot, as we're going to roll this VT. I want to hear your thoughts on kind of how Ruddy's drafting has allowed them to be such a powerful team.
Well, honestly, I feel like Ruddy's drafting has been uncontested most of the games. We're seeing a lot of Gnar, a lot of Zac, a lot of Varus. Sin has been smashing it on Varus. That's on the first round robin game, week 4, day 1. And he knows the limits of this pick. And as long as you give him that pick, give him like a comfortable matchup in the bottom lane, something that he can push the lane and make sure that, his team has the first move, has the advantage, have the proactive potential of a dive or a dragon play or anything, they look to be in the most comfortable space available, especially with that pick, because we were talking, is it the pick, is it the players, and you were saying that it's kind of both. That pick right now, all over the board, across all regions, minor CRLs, major ERLs, major regions, is a swamping 84% presence, and I think that speaks for itself.
Yeah, Jika, I've got to kind of throw a question quickly back to you on this kind of pick and man situation for Ruddy, because we talked about how Ruddy's been able to get a lot of comfort picks, how they're kind of not being contested on things that they like to play, but they also play a lot of stuff, right? They're very, very versatile, so it's kind of like, are they ever going to be able to be pushed onto something that isn't comfort?
Isn't comfort? No. I think is less comfort would be a better way of putting it. If you take away things like Sin's Varus, like Peru's Zac, like Ketsuo's Yone, you're pushing further and further into these champion pools, right? You're making these players reach deeper into their pockets to be able to pull out something that's going to work for them. Getting them to that position is a lot harder to do, because while, yeah, you've got these big comfort picks, there's also a lot of things that are just really strong in the meta that need to go. The Hui, the Smolder, the Senna, champions like this that can really just command pick ban when they're this strong, kind of throw a spanner into the works when you're looking at banning away things like comfort picks, especially from a team like Ruddy, who have shown that comfort or meta, they're happy to do both.
Well, let's have a look at the other team. Let's have a look at Venom Crest. Let's bring in these names. And Rev, talk about this team, because I feel like Kenji, obviously, big superstar. We've talked about the bot lane before as well, but Bartholdi's been having moments in the jungle. But where do your eyes really focus on this team?
Ooh, really, I would say Kenji in the first half of the season, but Afrebi has been winning my heart. He may not be having all the standout performance, but his picks are getting a little bit more love. He's a very strong Ezreal, maybe not the biggest champion, but those picks, they are able to challenge the meta right now. So I think that they can play through the bottom lane, and that works both ways. What do you think about the matchup and all the pressure that Ruddy wants to push in the bottom lane? So if you manage to give your team a little bit more of a gas, you're making sure that the enemy team is struggling, so it's a win-win scenario. So I'm looking a lot at Afrebi right now. He has something to prove for himself, especially considering that most of the games that they've won through hands diff, and if you're gonna hands diff your way into a first place position, you need to go through Ruddy.
Yeah, indeed you do. And I feel like there's a lot to be said about Venom Crest. They started off strong. They looked very powerful throughout the season. I feel like they've had that opportunity to kind of play around lots of different lanes. I feel like recently they've been putting that range bot lane, kind of just leaving them to survive and then bringing them through in the later stages. But we'll see how that looks a little bit later, because the thing that I want to talk about, Sheikah, is I want to talk about Bartholdi. And specifically, I want to talk about Bartholdi when he's on Volibear, right? Me and Temporal were talking about it the other day on stream, and we were saying that Volibear's kind of underrated. No one's kind of talking about the bear. He's really good in top lane against all these bruisers. He's pretty good in the jungle as well. And Bartholdi seems to have really connected with the Nordic roots of this champion. We're going to roll the VT. But Sheikah, talk to me as to why this person is so impactful for Venom Crest.
Bartholdi, ever since last split, has been the massive playmaker for Venom Crest. You could see the mid-jungle of Bartholdi Galul last split just being absolutely insane. And we're seeing it again this split. Roskilde, happy to just play the more utility style, let Bartholdi run the game, and that's exactly how Venom Crest prefer to play. Give Bartholdi agency. The Vi, the Zac, the Volibear, they all allow you to make these early plays, to garner control over these early objectives, to really set you up to be in a position where you can just say, okay, we're doing this, and this, and I'm running the game. It's insane just how well Bartholdi can control a game, especially in a league where jungle is a pretty highly contested role, all things considered, in terms of the skill level of the players that we have.
Now, I got to mention, we are on 14.4, so it isn't going to be 14.5. We're not going to get any buffs right now, so we don't have to talk about any sort of patch updates. We also have to talk about that Azir is banned. So we're not going to see Azir. They're gone. Does that really impact either of the teams, Rev? Are we feeling like this could maybe make big changes to either side? Because obviously I feel like both teams not particularly leaning towards that mid lane.
No, honestly, I think that both of these teams have a huge sigh of relief because they don't have to deal with the Azir. They won't picks that, as Jika said, have actually agency in the early game. Like if you're gonna play with a Volibear in the jungle, you don't want to be following up with the Azir or the Corki or the Zerath. You want something that can fight, if not immediately, after level 6 in the first Drake, in the second Grabs fight, and be able to skirmish with your team to be trying to snowball through mid lane, through jungle, and then have that advantage roll over to the rest of the lane. So the Azir being away will not impact the game, but maybe the Neeko, because although it has been it is being forgotten more and more lately, I think that it's still a pick that can influence a lot of early team fights if it's enabled.
Okay, we'll see if that one does come through. I believe we should be getting into draft pretty soon, but we got the big question, the one that has to be answered. Who is going to win is realistically what I'm going to ask you. We're going to do a full draft because I think this draft could play a big game. We may even ask a little bit after draft just because we know how this can change things. But Sheikah, where are you going? You feeling Venom Crest are going to take it? They're going to take themselves into a victory way, or are Ruddy just going to do what they did before once again?
That's a mean question. I can't lie.
It is. It is indeed.
My head says Ruddy. They're on a tear. They're doing extremely well. The team just works so well together. I mean, we've talked about it when they go up against Lions Creed, right? This is a team that have played together for so long at LANs and online. Realistically speaking, they have more experience playing together than anybody in the league, bar maybe Lions Creed, who is, of course, Cabbage Family. But my heart says Venom Crest. This roster is completely new names to Div 1, bar Bartholdi and Fastlegged, right? Roskilde, Afribi, and Kenji. Kenji came up through Div 2. Afribi and Roskilde, I'm not sure if they went through Div 2, but they weren't here last split. And I love nothing more than a bit of an underdog story. So if we have these, 3 rookies to Div 1 alongside 2 of the returning players, manage to go above and beyond against Ruddy, storyline wise, I'll be content. That'll be perfectly fine with me.
Yeah.
To put a prediction out there, I'm going to hang on to that hope and say Venom Crest. I think they have been playing well, and I think if they can get a draft that favors them, they can go head to head with Ruddy.
What about you, Revy? Are you also on the Venom Crest side? You sticking with Ruddy? Where are you feeling?
Well, I'm kind of on the edge, okay? On the one hand, I started off as a Venom Crest fanboy. They did impress me early on in the season, how they were actually hand-diffing everyone and didn't need to do anything else. On the other side, we have Ruddy. They have been scaling up. They are finding their victories in multiple win conditions, even with the same champions. They don't just want to win the early game and roll over the enemy team. And also, I don't want to be on the receiving end of any Ruddy diss songs. But on the third hand, if you one suffering a nuclear fallout, they are being coached by Middle God, so Venom Crest win.
True! Oh, I forgot about that. That is pretty funny, actually. Although, I don't know, is Middlecop coaching them tonight? Because isn't Middlecop casting?
NLC's on, isn't it?
Well, he's casting, Ruddy win.
We'll have to see if Coach Middlecott is in play today. But yes, I do agree, right? I think that Venom Crest have looked really strong. I personally think that Ruddy are going to take it. I think their form is just very impressive at the moment. I think that there isn't a lot that has changed in my mind of the power level between these two teams going into this next matchup, right? And if we do kind of take a trip down memory lane about when they did last meet, it was, in my opinion, quite a simple victory, right? It wasn't that it wasn't tough. I think there were definitely a lot of battles along the way, but Ruddy definitely steered the game from the start and didn't really let it go. So I do wonder what Venom Crest have kind of got cooking to try and turn their fates around. And I guess, do you guys have any input on that sentiment? Like, what do you feel like Venom Crest have done now that maybe would change it, especially considering you guys both picked to beat Ruddy? What's the kind of different source?
Well, what happened in the first game, what I really liked is that Ruddy was ready to answer at any Venom Crest aggression. So there was a gank from the Poppy, instant follow-up from the Zac. They were always ready to answer fist fight with fist fight, and they were always ready on the spot. Maybe Venom Crest wasn't ready for that. What I've seen lately is that Venom Crest sometimes don't take the lead. And of course, League of Legends is not a tango. When you're in the lead, you're not always the one actually winning the fight. So that's actually a big plus for me. And I'd really
there we
like to
go.
see them just wait for Ruddy to push themselves into an uncomfortable scenario.
Well, here we go. We're into a draft, so we're going to be getting that one kicked off, and that means we're not too far from game. And we're seeing a couple of bans that you guys already mentioned. Right, Hwei, very popular champion at the moment, being taken out. No surprises to anyone. Twisted Fate, similar story, no dramas. But the Zac being banned away, obviously Peru has had some insane games on this pick. So getting that one out quickly, I feel like it's very fair from Venom Chris.
It's absolutely a solid call. I mean, the champion has a good bit of flexibility as well in the current meta. It can go top, it can go jungle. Hell, in some games we've even seen it been going support. So it's not a bad pick to take off the table, generally speaking. The Karma as well, another one of these big flex picks. We are just seeing a lot of meta picks taken away. The Varus is still there though, and you know that Ruddy are going to first pick it if you don't ban it here. So I hope there's an answer prepared.
Yeah, that's what I want to say as well, because there's not a lot of answers for Varus unless you want to flip the early game and you want to go something like a Kalista, which of course doesn't really go well if you don't win the lane from the early stage of the game. You will get outranged and the game will be so hard to play. But the Volibear is insta first pick. Of course, as you said, it's still a flex. And what I really like about Volibear right now is that it has a lot of different playstyles. You can be a bruiser, Divine Sunder, Cleaver, whatnot. You can be a full tank with the Iceborne Gauntlet into a Bummy Cinder item, or you can be a Drain tank. There's also that new build with the what's it called? The purple items, when you just start
Hollow
healing
Radiance.
through the enemy teams. Yeah, no, it's not the Hollow Radiance. It's
Unending
the other
Despair.
one. Yeah, Unending Despair into the Fimbulwinter, into the Spirit Visage, and you just drain tank the enemy team forever.
And there's also the AP as well. So if you feel it spicy, you could go for the AP, big damage on that ultimate, big damage on the passive. But we are going to see a bit of a rebuttal there. Lee Sin coming up for Bartholdi. We've talked from the day that this season began that Bartholdi loves an early clear, loves an early impact, and they want to bring that through with the Lee Sin there. The Senna being picked up as well, a very strong champion. I feel like UKL loves the Senna as well. I feel like it's not surprising. But what are we kind of looking for in terms of bot lane with Senna, right, as we see the Nautilus picked up with the Jinx as well?
Maybe a Braum?
Huh. Wasn't expecting that. Standard answer is Tahm Kench, right?
Guys,
That
this
could be
can
Camille
be-
support.
yeah, Camille support, not even farming. It's being picked all over the place in high elo matches lately, and it's been terrorizing all of you with the Divine Sunder Sky build, where it deals a lot of damage. You go for the Bloodstone, and you enable your team to one-shot the enemy carries, where they can never hide from your hookshot into the Hextech Ultimatum. And also, we've started seeing it in ERLs as well, so it's kind of a competitive, viable pick right now.
Okay, well, I'd love to see some new stuff. I'm excited to see if that Camille is going to be going into the bot lane. Right now, the Jax and the Gragas banned away from the side of Venom Crest. So they're saying, you know what, we don't think that Volibear is going into the top lane. Still banning them out as Veigar and also Kenji's Kennen has been removed.
So, very interestingly, this pick right here can follow the Volibear around. If the volley's going top, the Lee Sin can follow. If the volley's going jungle, the Lee Sin can follow. It's a decent matchup. You can fight him relatively effectively early because you're only ever looking to take short bursty trades. You're not looking to just sit there and go, fist fight, fist fight. You have a lot of safety and ability to play out the matchup. And with the LeBlanc lock-in and the Camille looking more and more like it's going support, I think they're just trying to hold this Lee Sin. They're saying, okay, where's this Volibear going? Where are we moving this Lee Sin to?
I'll be honest, I'll be surprised if they put it at least in top, but I get what you're saying. I do like the sentiment. And also, who knows? Maybe it is going to be a whole day of switcheroos, as we are going to see Vex there locked in to take on the LeBlanc. I feel like it's a pretty nice matchup. Obviously, could have potentially gone for Lissandra as well, or the classic OG Morgana. But Rev, how are you kind of feeling the end of the drafts are going to go?
Now, honestly, I think you go for the Volibear in the top lane position, I want to say, because there are a lot of top laners banned away right now. The Kennen, the Jax, the Gragas. There are a lot of better bruisers that I'd like to see from the jungle. Maybe the Vi. Of course, they end up picking the Aatrox, but it's a really weird scenario right now because you can get countered, and the Aatrox is a big one. It doesn't roll. It will not see any way to go to get back into the game.
If Okay, alright, I respect that a little bit more. I was going to be mad if they picked Vayne top. I'm not going to lie, I really hate that pick. It's so frustrating. But it's going to be the Jace locked in there, so... Does seem like it's going to be Camille bot, right? Unless I'm mistaken here. And Senna going to be going into that bot lane with the Camille. So we are going to see that new pick. Do you guys have any like insight, Rev? You're saying that you've seen it a little bit in other ELOs and other kind of like competitions. What are we kind of expecting from the Camille? Is it early on damage, late on scaling? What's the kind of flavor?
Yes, to all of those points, because it has the early game damage. It can go even with the PTA. So when you go into the hook shot, auto, Q auto, it's a really quick PTA proc. Then with the Blood Song, you have the PTA, the Blood Song, the Thunder Sky, you survive, you dive. It's a jack of all trades right now, master of none. And what it extremely well does is that it punishes the natural instinct of ADCs. Because what do ADCs do? They usually want to hide away from the enemy support towards a wall behind minions, and that doesn't really matter against a Camille because she wants you near that wall. She wants to hook side all over the other side of the lane and then get near you and then catch you out, and then you're dead. And especially with the Senna, they will be looking for those short early trades, out sustaining you with the Dawning Shadow, with the W from the Camille, because there's so much sustaining that kit that you can never deal with her long term with the Jinx and Nautilus lane unless you catch them off guard.
And the big question I got for you, Chica, is where are the junglers going, right? Because we got Aatrox versus Jace in the top side, we got Vex versus LeBlanc in the mid lane, and then we have hyper carry Jinx and hyper carry Senna with the Camille in the bot lane. If you're Venom Crest or if you're Ruddy, you can start wherever you want on this side. Where are you going?
I think it's a start top sides, start chickens, do full blue side clear, into finish topside clear to be at grubs when they spawn. I think that's probably the angle we take here. Bot lane is it's going to be a non-factor for the early game, right? You've got Jinx versus Senna. Where's the damage coming from realistically outside of maybe the support bashing them? But you know, if you can get these early grubs going, you have a lot of range on both these teams. You need these grubs to be able to siege effectively.
Okay. So you're saying more prior objectives. Are there any lanes that you're kind of really looking for?
I think if you're going to play around any lane, it will be the bot lane. There's a lot of innate engage there from Camille and Nautilus together, as well as, you know, the couple of catch opportunities from the AD carries. But I do think we're going to be seeing the junglers prioritize the objectives a little bit more than the ganks this game, just based on what's there.
Okay, interesting. Because I'm kind of head scratching about the top lane. I feel like Jace Aatrox has a lot of potential to just kind of be one-sided and essentially like give a team basically free split push for the rest of the game. So I am kind of seeing how that one will go. Obviously the LeBlanc as well, if you can free up them, they can start to roam themselves too. So I do kind of wonder how the jungle is going to path. You're saying bot lane also go for that grubs. Rev, are you kind of singing that same tune?
Well, bot lane will be kind of explosive, mostly for the Jinx, I think. The Senna needs her time. She does not scale that well with kills. Yes, she has some really nice spikes with the serrated hits, but I don't think that if you fit here 1 or 2 kills, the game will change. Only for the rest of the lanes, because the Camille will be freed up. I'd really like to see some pressure towards the top side, because if you manage to muffle either the Jace or the Aatrox, that means that they can actually spread their influence all over the map, whereas the other laner will have to stay top, farm up, maybe manage to squeeze a plate or two while the enemy team is just partying and raving around the Drakes and gathering all those really important neutral resources for their side.
Well, game plans are set. We'll see if that is how they do decide to execute. Obviously, it's League of Legends. Anything can happen. Someone can get a solo kill. It could be the GG. We'll find out very shortly. Now that we've seen the draft, though, the question that I asked earlier, it's looming once again. Are you going to change your mind? Are you going to stick with your pick, Venom Crest, once again?
It's Camille win, baby. That's all.
Okay. With that being said, you weren't sticking. Let's throw it over to the casters. Jika, I'm going to send you to be joined by Brackish Brett to take us through this first game.
Hello. I am also here, pulling Drew off of the analyst desk. Get someone with me for this game, and I mean, I'm just as hype as everybody else. We're seeing a Camille in the bot lane. I've experienced it in solo queue. I'm not going to say how it went. I'm going to say that my support probably just saw it on Reddit and we'll leave it at that, shall we? As we get on to the Rift for what could be the decider of first place this split. Ruddy, if they win this game, Sheikah, they lock first. That's it. No more hassle or anything. Lions Creed and Ruddy cannot reach them. Lions Creed and Venom Crest cannot reach them.
Yeah, it's this entirely hinges on Ruddy taking that first win to be able to then go forwards and solidify themselves that first place spot. If they lose here, we've got tiebreakers coming. And those are going to be some explosive tiebreakers, let me tell you.
Absolutely. So, Ruddy trying to do something a little bit cheeky towards the bottom side of the rift. A freebie did spot it out. However, it seems like Venom Crest didn't think it was a full 5-man affair. So they're not tried to get a little bit cheeky themselves, get a little bit of deep vision. So Ruddy get away with that early aggression. And as you supposed, we do see looking to potentially start towards the top side of the rift. Is this a sign of things to come in the bottom lane? Or are you thinking this is just, as you said, first clear into take top side into grubs?
I think it might be a bot side centric situation. Normally, if you're going to do first clear, you will start on your multicam into the rest of your other side of jungle, into the rest of the starting side, and then be at grubs when they spawn. Looks like we are just going to see a full top to bot clear from both junglers here, which tells me we are looking to get an early lead in this bot lane. And that is backed up by the fact that despite the nerfs, Fastlegged and a freebie still going for that double door and start, still opting to delay picking up that World Atlas. So there is just going to be a lot of explosivity and a lot of infighting in this bot lane, I think. And when you throw the junglers into that mix as well, things get very dangerous very quickly. We can already see Bartholdi moving towards the bot side.
Yeah, red into Gromp, into blue buff could just be this level 3 presence towards the bot side. Peru, however, taking it a little bit more chill. Has taken the top side camps and will be a little bit slower to get to that place. So, really, they've got to have that heads up because they're the ones with push right now. If Bartholdi shows up and they are not ready for him, then it could be very, very rough for them. I think they should be able to bounce the wave. In fact, I think Bartholdi should be hitting bot lane basically as that wave is hitting tower.
Yeah, finish off the blue buff into the bot lane should be the play. At least that's what we're looking at. But it looks like actually going for this invade here.
It's the long walk. Bartholdi is looking in for his opposite number. Peru just taking his red buff. Bartholdi will spot out. No Sonic Wave comes across. Ward popped down by Fastlegged there. Bartholdi is now spotted out by Peru. He has to step away, kind of with tail between legs. And he is so far behind on farm right now. Ketsuo, however, perhaps a little further up lane than he can afford to be. Sonic Wave misses, but the root coming out. Bartholdi trying to step within range. Personal space will give Ketsuo enough personal space to get back to his tower. Crisis averted. No summoners burnt either, though. That TP will be coming through very shortly.
The really funky clear from Bartholdi has me really confused. Because I can understand a 3-camp into gank where you do buff Gromp gank. But at the same time, you couldn't really get the gank off. You now have to clear your top side because that's where you ended up pathing to. So your wolves are not going to be on cooldown for your second clear. Which means they're still going to be level 1. You're down about 3 camps on your lane opponent. Or your jungle opponent, rather, at any given point. And now you just get pressured in your own jungle. While there's not really much for Peru to be doing on the map. Opting for the recall here is a relatively smart idea. You know, safe mid lane is safe from a gank. Top lane's pushing in. You can maybe look for a gank there, but in your mind, Bartholdi has already left. So getting the back off here now and picking up the Sheen for yourself, it's just going to make your clear so much faster, especially with Bartholdi only now recalling.
You know, straight into the Sheen for Peru. Are you expecting a full completion on a Sheen item? Or we have been seeing quite a lot of the Sundered Sky on Volibear. I mean, we've seen Sundered Sky basically everywhere, so not too surprised to see it. But do you want to see the completed Sheen first, or is it just going to depend on the game state?
I think it's just going to be an Iceborne Gauntlet unless Peru gets a massive, massive lead.
Well, Skill there taking a sizable chunk from Ketso. Of course, Vex very well set up to deal with the LeBlanc personal space, plus that fear makes it really annoying to distortion into. Also on the map, Akka's keeping up pretty well with Kenji, considering that is a range versus melee matchup for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be a slightly harder matchup for the Aatrox, but it's because Jace has to go into hammer form at some point, it's not as bad. But
Spots Bartholdi did not. I don't think he realizes Fastlegged is there, but Jamsu is on the run up. And the hook shot will force the Camille to depart. So again, a whole bunch of posturing, a whole bunch of positioning, but we're not actually seeing all that much happening right now.
It'll be, I think it'll be a slower 5 minutes. Then when objectives spawn, that's where explosiveness will start to happen. Still no World Atlas on fast legs though. Still.
It'll take him a little while to get there, it seems. We're talking about those early objectives, Zika. We have got Drake on the Rift, Bartholdi taking the Gromp, now going to spot Jamsu out. Looking for the engage angle as well. Fastlight going forwards with a level 6 on Ketsuo, coming in with the Shadow Surge, and that's easy as that first blood for the Ruddy Painkillers. And just like that, they can also turn that into first Drake. No possible contest unless Bartholdi can really hot-foot it, although Kenji might have something to say. Flash from Akers will keep him safe from the Shock Blast, and Ruddy come out on top. So Bartholdi, he is hot-footing, as we thought, towards the top side of the Rift. Will look to get those grubs started off. Of course, the option is now here for Ruddy. Once taking the Drake, they could look to contest. In fact, it will be Akers post-TP, who is going to go spot out Bartholdi towards the top side of the Rift. Feels like he wants to contest this as well. Got to be careful. Kenji, of course, could come down from top lane, but he's not all that healthy. Doesn't have flash or TP either, so doesn't really want to leave that lane. Instead, he is just going to be shepherding Bartholdi away. And so Ruddy's advantage is still being held right now.
That's a solid advantage as well. That's a beautiful fight towards the bot side to just allow for a bit of a lead. And now you garner control. Because it was Bartholdi who fell, you have just completely opened the canyon that was starting to form between Puru and Bartholdi. And the problem, at least, is once you fall behind, you really struggle to exist as a champion. You are very reliant on having some kind of early lead to play off of. If you don't have that, you're essentially just a standing ward for Kickbot and Fastlegs.
Fastleg's got to get out of that one. Has to flash over the wall. Hookshot wall dive wasn't going to do much. And Bartholdi safeguards out. The chase is still there. Ketsuo keeping Roskilde at arm's length as well. Kenji looking to step forwards. Will throw the shock blast out. Puru getting quite low. Sky Splitter not going to land the shield either. In fact, Akers just waiting for the pullback with the Darkened Blades. Can he land the damage? Stormbringer drops. Puru will be able to find him. Dawning Shadow comes across. Puru will drop Fastlight, able to make that one trade through. Bartholdi now looking for the chase in. Akers can step away. Sonic Wave doesn't land. Roskilde looking forwards, but the Ethereal Chains don't land either. Venom Crest, they can't get more out of that play.
So many of these important skill shots just not quite landing, making it very, very hard.
Oh, Ketsuo though! Ethereal Chains lands, flashes over the wall, but you've got a level 6 Lee Sid on you. Just gotta wait for the Dragon's Rage, which will be able to pick that one across. Bartholdi, however, now needs to get out. Puru is coming in. Akers has got his number, and the World Ender will end Bartholdi for the second time of the game. Cannot further advance his lead, couldn't steal away the blue buff. While Venom Crest, they are hitting back effectively. It's safe to say Ruddy still hold the keys.
They have everything at their disposal as things stand. A couple of good picks coming through from Venom Crest, a couple of good fight turns, but you've got a Jinx scaling in the bot lane. You've got this Vex already unlocked and on the map. Aatrox has a kill, which is going to allow him to bully this Jace out big time. Volibear is sitting on quite comfortably ahead of this Lee Sin. You're in the driver's seat.
Kenji.
Just don't let go of the throttle.
Gonna have to be careful, my boy. Puru is already on the run-up. The Infernal Chains will land. The pullback doesn't come through. But the Thundering Blow is going to be needed. The movement speed plus the acceleration gate, just about enough to get Kenji back to the tower. And while all this is happening, you were saying about bot lane. The World Atlas has only recently been picked up for Fastlight. In fact, production, can we double check how much gold Fastlight is currently sat on with that World Atlas? Because Jamsu, 663. We can see that right now. Over 500 gold behind on this support item completion. And yes, we have seen Fastlight has picked up a kill. But as of yet, that's yet to turn into anything really meaningful.
It is. It might take a while to turn into anything meaningful as well. I mean, you're behind on gold because you haven't been able to gain this gold outside of that kill you picked up, because you're realistically not going to be farming. You need Senna to get this gold. So you are sitting at a disadvantage. Another very interesting thing about this Venom Crest comp that actually ties quite nicely into this is it's a bit of an identity mismatch, right? You're looking at Jace, Senna, LeBlanc, who are all quite happy to poke, and you've got Lee Sin, who can play bridge, but is much more of an all-in champion when you start to get to the later stages of the game.
And
Same
Camille.
for Camille. Same for Camille. You've got 2 champions who play bridge, but then become useless if you're playing poke, and you've got 3 champions who excel at poke and have a average, maybe just below, team fight, bar maybe Senna, who can do both relatively well. So this
We're
Camille
making his way towards the
having a
bot lane
lead.
right now. The recall's currently coming through for
They get out.
Freebie fast-legged. They will be able to get out. Sky Splitter does not spot them out.
Freebie cancelled though, they're desynced.
The backs are desynced, and perhaps a split call for Venom Crest there. Roskilde looking to find Ketsuo again, just keeping the heads up. He knows that these two are going to be playing hand in hand. Shadow Surge will come forwards as the roots will drop. Roskilde needs to get out of there. The Mimic, the mirror image, will be able to allow him to escape.
Jamsu.
Although Jamsu also looking for the angle in, has the Hex Flash available. If he's going to go, he's got to go quickly though, as the recall will complete. Will turn into some plate gold. Zaka's going to get engaged upon by Kenji as well. World Ender popped. Fast-legged making his way topside. The flash coming through. There's no level 6 for this Camille, as Akers will again be able, with the flash, to get back to his turret and to safety.
With the flash down, Kenji is now in a much safer position though. If you're not getting flashed on by this Aatrox, you have room to play the lane. However, you do pay for second dragon with that play, and it is an Infernal Dragon. You have the 2 best standalone dragons as ready right now. You've got Infernal and Hextag, and 2 Grubs to boot, with Grubs spawning within the next minute or 2, I would say. Things are getting dangerous.
They are indeed. We see a lot of gold going to Sin in the bot lane in terms of plates as well. So yes, okay, not doing the best in the form of farm, but is still 200 gold up towards a freebie. And now we see the potential dive angle. Sky Splitter will drop, the Stormbringer rather, as Kenji comes in, not able to join thanks to some CC going straight in.
Sin's untouched.
Fastlight has already dropped. Kenji looking for the chase here. Flash away from the Super Mega Death Rocket will mean that Freebie survives, but Kenji not able to find his targets, and now Sin is unleashed. One more zap, one more. Doesn't need it. Just going to keep on running forwards. Pow, pow. And it's bling, bang, bang, ball in the bottom lane as Ruddy pick up 2 more kills. 3 more kills.
Sin going totally untouched in that fight is criminal. I'm just able to sit there and free fire. That's not a Mafia Jinx, is what makes it even worse. If it was a Mafia Jinx, I could understand it, but it's not. The criminal maneuvers, that's ballooned to an 1,000 gold lead in favor of this Jinx now. She's a hyperscaler. This is Sin's playstyle. The Varus, the Jinx, the Kog'Maw, the Twitch, these champions that really start to come online past the point is exactly what Sin excels at, and he now has 2 kills and an assist under his belt. The game is quickly falling out of Venom Crest's hands. I mean, I know snakes are slippery, but I don't know how they're going to slither out of this one.
Scratch just the bot lane though, Zika. The gold advantage for Venom, or the gold advantage for Ruddy, has suddenly jumped up to 3k just as plates drop. That last play resulted in, I think, a map-wide 2,000 gold leap in an advantage that was actually fairly minor for the most part. Now Venom Crest, as you say, they find themselves in a slightly rough situation, although they're going to look to try and profit. Ketsuo able to keep himself so very safe though. Jamsu looks for the hook, not able to find it. Puro try to find Kenji as well, but a hammer to the face will put paid to that. Everyone quiets down once again. Puro looking to start off the Herald. Bartoldi completely on the wrong side of the map to contest it.
Interesting thought, or interesting observation, rather. Akers opting for the Profane Hydra. Is Lethality Aatrox back?
Did it ever go anywhere? Sin taking a lot of damage, but dealing just as much as the Super Mega Death Rocket. Bartoldi can come in only to watch his Senna drop. Sonic Wave will land, but he's not brave enough to go under the tower into an excited Jinx. Sin holds his own, stands his ground once again. Meanwhile, Jamsu alongside Ketsuo will take down this tower in the mid lane. Fastlight looking for the Hextech ultimatum. It's Ketsuo doing a lot of damage. Akers coming from the backside, fast-legged, is going to drop eventually, I think, as Bartholdi now coming in, trying to make space for his support. Pairs up with Frostgilda. Kenji is waiting in the wings as well. Ethereal Chains will land. Akers needs to get away. The healing not going to be enough right now. Still trying to step back. Puru trying to come in and cover. But Venom Crest, they do bite back. They are able to pay back those kills in kind. It's a good trade, but it's only kills. There's no objectives that can be had. There's no real extra gold that they can use off of this play.
And now eyes are on Roskilde. Has a lead on this LeBlanc. Well, a lead in terms of the rest of the team. And LeBlanc, as you start to get items, as you start to get gold, you become very, very scary. You're going to be the biggest threat to Sin this game if Ketso is not sat on top of you. Because if you cannot get that fear off on this LeBlanc, someone's going to go pop. Someone's going to go bye-bye. And with how well Roskilde and Bartholdi are playing as a duo, that's terrifying.
Yes, Roskilde is doing well, but as the gold will show, he's bang even with Ketsuo. Yes, Ketsuo's taken a couple of deaths, but as you say, as long as the Vex and the Jinx sit in relatively close proximity to each other, diving this Jinx becomes next to impossible. And on top of that, if Roskilde wants to go forwards, he's got to contend with Jamsu as well. Akers, though, is not going to be a problem for this LeBlanc. Lune's companion racks one up and will take him down. And that's the price that you pay. When you're going for the Profane Hydra, you are sacrificing burst resistance for extra healing as long as you can go off. Ketsuo being chased down by this three-man goon squad once again has to burn the flash. That does mean Venom Crest have control over the bot side. They have great vision here as well. They can look to try and slow down the Ruddy Dragon scaling.
And if they can start to slow this down, things get much easier for them.
Oh, hook onto Bartholdi, though.
He's dead.
Dawning Shadow will come across. It keeps him alive. Jamsu is down. Puru taking a large chunk as well. This volley, very, very tanky, though. Fast-legged, not able to do enough to Sin. And once again, the Jinx goes untouched on a rampage. As the Shadow Surge does not quite catch onto a freebie, but it will be a freebie for Akers to pick up with the Profane Hydra. The Drake was not secured by Venom Crest, so at 18 minutes, we have a soul point Venom Crest are now looking down the barrel of.
Ruddy are on a rampage this game. Teamfights being executed to perfection. Left, right, and center, and Sin at the center of it all. The shining star, the sun for this team, as it were.
Firework,
consistent.
surely. Surely firework if it's the skin. I'm sure there's a Katy Perry joke to be made here, but it's too obvious.
Yeah, it definitely is. But Sin is the shining star for this team, right? Always consistent, always able to be someone you can rely on to carry a game. And honestly, just has a champion pool deep enough to not ever really have to worry about being banned out or not having a good champion for a specific situation. So, you need to shut this Jinx down again.
I feel like Sin has a whiteboard, right? And in any situation where Varus is not banned, Varus is the correct pick. And it's like, okay, congratulations, you have met part 1 of how to beat Sin, which is banning Varus. Now what are you going to do with all of the other champions he plays?
The answer? Struggle, honestly. Sin is a very, very good player and has been for a long time. Roskilde is realistically the only person who's going to be able to kill this Jinx. And even then it's hard because, as we mentioned, that fear really going to cause a problem. LeBlanc has the advantage of not necessarily needing a gold lead over their lane opponent to do what she needs to do. She just needs the items. But even with those items, you're vulnerable to CC. The Banshees is very good. The Herald is going in mid, and Puru has his driver's license, it would seem. But that's a tier 2 broken already. With another charge to come. The base... Oh, never mind. Ketsuo does not have his driver's license.
Leave the Shelly piloting to the junglers, please. They're the ones who are usually qualified. But Roskilde, note that Roskilde has picked up Banshee's Veil, which is going to severely hurt his burst in the long run.
You say that, but you'd be surprised. Banshees is a lot of AP. I think it's like 120,
it's not as much
130.
as, say, Storm Search.
I think it's like 120, 130 AP just on the item flat. It's
Banshees?
Yeah, it's quite a high amount. I was looking at it recently, and I couldn't believe what it was. That's the only reason I'm putting it so high, is because I couldn't believe it was quite so high for a defensive
Let me
item.
verify that production. That sounds like a very high number on Banshee's Veil.
I might have misread it, to be fair. If we can get
I swear that there is no way that item has more than 100 AP on it.
If we can get confirmation on the Banshees. 120.
120?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And it's a,
I
and
need
it's
to buy
a 30
Banshee's
second
Veil more
cooldown
often.
on the Spell Veil.
That's actually really good. I need to pick that up more often on Victor.
Banshees is a high value item at the moment, just based on how much stats you're getting for, and the passive you're getting, for how much you're paying. However,
I
it
see
might
numbers
not be
towards the
enough.
mid lane. Sonic Wave does not catch onto Jamsu. No potential scoop back kick onto Sin.
That was all damage through Celestial Opposition, which is a damage reduction.
Yeah, but I don't like Celestial Opposition. It's
do I.
currently not a very good item.
I think
It's so easily poked off.
in most situations you would go Celestial
Solstice.
Opposition, you just go Slay.
Yeah.
But Akers has a flank, Pura has a flank, and they're looking.
Fastleg trying to go forwards onto Sin, though, gets immediately cut off by the entirety of Ruddy. Nowhere to run as Akers will secure that kill.
Is that just
Venom Crest
Nasher?
have to sit and watch. And I don't see why not. 22 minutes on the board. Sin's already at 2 items. This Jinx is going to melt this objective. Roskilde can step in to be a bit annoying. Bartoldi can maybe try for a steal, but the vision is pretty good. Ketsuo is waiting off towards the side there on the Jinx. 4 members doing the damage, and is already dropping down below 5k. Bartoldi going to be way too slow to step in as the Baron is uncontested by Venom Crest. Ruddy, they will push their lead up now to 5k. They will take their reset. They'll even stop Kenji from taking the tier 2 just for BM's sake. Akers even potentially got a bit of a vendetta looking towards Kenji.
I had
Not follow up in the long term.
a bit of a heart attack there, I can't lie, because the smite came in early and the ethereal chain was about to pop with the mark on it. That was 136 health. Is what it was left at after smite. And
That
another
would be
fight.
a moment as Bartoldi looks for Sin on the backline. The Hextech Ultimatum goes down as Kenji is able to single out Sin. Follow-up, however, not looking amazing for Venom Crest as they are falling in their droves. Yes, you got Sin, but there's still the entire rest of the Ruddy painkillers to deal with. Hook onto Roskilde. The LeBlanc will not last. Drake is up. 23 minutes, an ace for Ruddy, and it will be a Cloud Soul to boot as well.
Baron, Ace, Cloud Soul barreling down to the base. The fight was good. You caught Sin. This big carry. But your AD carry's not strong enough. A freebie was run out of the fight by Puru. Senna, notoriously not great at killing these tanks, had to rush that LDR second, still struggling to cut through because you don't have the raw AD you need at this point in the game to start cutting into these higher health bars. You don't really have anybody who can do the damage to these tanks that you need to do, and that damage, it just doesn't stick through poke. So if you're not winning an outright 5v5, you're really going to struggle. A freebie, you need to buy time for a freebie to scale. If you can get a freebie to 3-4 items, you maybe have a chance at contesting these team fights, but you don't have long before you've got Ruddy barreling down the mid lane, knocking on the doors to your base, and the Laughing Ducks. They could just be laughing harder as Fastleg caught again, dead again, dominating Akers.
The Sun of Sky, it just doesn't. It really doesn't matter when you're dying so quickly that you can barely get one auto off, let alone several in the fight, as Ruddy are going to break open the base. The gold lead becoming nigh untenable. Roskilde is currently locked outside of the base, and Ruddy, they have a Nexus in their sights. Puru goes forwards. The Stormbringer will knock the turrets down. Afribi is already feeling like a bit too low to get involved. Roskilde is able to take down Ketsuo, but Sin is still there, still hitting, and they've got plenty of frontline to support him as well. Jamsu jumps on in towards Fastleg, who's looking for the angle back in. Isn't going to find it, though. Roskilde still looking. Puru dropping low. Akers dropping low. Jamsu still doing okay for himself, but Ruddy painkillers, they don't want to risk too much. Jamsu ends up hooking towards the wall. Thanks to the Aftershock, will be able to step away here as the hook will now find him. Akers goes godlike. Afribi has stepped a little bit too far. Sin will claim the last one, but there's no minions right now. They need to try and shepherd the wave in, but respawns are coming through. The Painkillers, they know that they do not need to end the game this very instant, Jiku. Instead, they will bide their time. They will go back to the base. They will spend their gold, and they'll come back even stronger.
So close to the end of the game. Almost looked like Venomcrest had baited Jamsu forwards a bit too far, and then they overplayed their hands themselves. The Flame Chompers were beautiful from Sin to catch them both with their pants down, for lack of a better term. Absolutely ruined in their own base. You have one more fight, one more chance to be able to win this. And Ruddy, they have first in their sights. They're more than happy to sit in this position. They're in the lead. They have a quite comfortable 8,000 gold lead. And there is one tower standing between them and first sole possession and sole finishing of first.
As you say, one Nexus turret. The Ruddy Painkillers. They are going to do their due diligence though. Akers to the bot lane. Ketsuo to the top. They know that there are other structures still on this rift that can be taken. Rather than potentially throw it away in a fight over the base instead, they will take their time. They know that they are stronger. They know that they have a solid moment. Afribi only at 58 stacks right now and gets removed as Ketsuo finds him along with Sin. And now the base again being sieged. Akers towards the bottom lane. Shadow Surge will fly across. Does not catch anybody. But the waves are being removed, and the wave clear from Venomcrest is so weak because you have to step up to do it. If you step up, you die.
Skilda just not be able to get that Banshees back. One catch is all this is going to take. Sin is on reset from taking the base. The tower
Akers is taking down the tier 3. Bartholdi. Not going to have anybody to jump to. The CC will be too much. Peru will take him down. Death Charge was indeed onto Kenji, and he isn't faring much better either. Jamsu going to be able to survive through most of the damage. Fastlike trying to clear out Ketsuo here, but he goes golden, so Sin can finish the job. Afribi will be left alone on his fountain as the Ruddy Painkillers will finish the job. They will take the win, and they will claim themselves sole possession of first place in this spring split. Little bit of banters back and forth there. Afribi will pick up a couple, but at the end of the day, the result was never really in any question. The Ruddy Painkillers are your first place team this regular season.
I mean, me and Rev, we had hope for Venomcrest coming into this game, right? They were looking good. But Ruddy, again, with a statement game. The second time these two teams have faced, the second time Ruddy have just been in control from minute one. This team is the single best team we have in the UKEL, and they have just proven that. They will take first seed heading into playoffs, and suddenly we are down to, I believe, one tiebreaker possibility between Lions Creed and Venomcrest for second, third, if Lions Creed lose their game today. But an absolutely insane game coming through from Ruddy. We saw some of the more powerful picks taken away. Doesn't matter. The Vex, not something we see much of anymore. Aatrox, not something we see much of anymore. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. The players are good. They know what they're doing. They're happy in what they're doing. Meta or not, they will take you from the top straight to the bottom.
Another fantastic performance as the Painkillers lock in their first place spot. I'm going to step away for a little while, but you're going to be there with the desk, Rev and J Real. Take us into a little bit more depth about how that went down and how Ruddy claimed our first spot.
What can I say? Except for I told you so. You know, that's how it goes. Ruddy made it in the NLC. They made it here. It's just Ruddy up all the way through the leagues that they are in. And what can I say? I feel like I want to go back and take it more seriously. I want to kind of go back to what I said before we went into draft, which is that when Ruddy and Venomcrest played, I felt like Ruddy gained control, never let it go. And I had that kind of thought process of, okay, all right, we've seen the teams evolve. We've seen them play well. We've seen them kind of do their thing. Venom Crest have become more cohesive. I feel like they've been making a lot of plays, but there was nothing in my mind that was like, okay, they've evolved where I feel like they're just going to take that lead from Ruddy early and then run with it. And then we see that again. And do we think it's picks? Do we think it's plays? That's kind of where I want to start this conversation, right? Because we got to talk real quickly. The Volibear pick, it's very strong. We talked about how good Barholdy was on the pick. It seems still just kind of a bit broken.
Yeah, it is very broken. It gives you so much agency early on in the game. It's been buffed. The clear is better, the trade is better, the cooldowns are a tad lower, and there's still all of the broken stuff from before. Only the ultimate is not. It's just unstoppable. It doesn't negate any crowd controls for later as well, but it doesn't really matter because it gives you all that priority, all those dive potentials, and from that level 6, nothing can save you if you're immobile. And that's what I did, because I thought that they fell into Venom Crest trap, but Venom Crest had no trap. It was Rudy all the way, and they made it look easy.
And Jika, like for you, obviously you said that you think there might be a world where Venom Crest can kind of turn it around. Do you feel like that early game just kind of sent it away? Obviously the first blood there happening with the Lee Sin going down. Do you feel like that was kind of the pivot, or do you feel like actually Ruddy just had consistent plays throughout the game?
I think that first play makes that game very hard. By putting Bartholdi on such a bad timer and getting that collapse, it puts you in a situation where you can't really predict what Peru is going to be doing, and you don't really have a solid plan for yourself because it intercepts your clear quite effectively. I don't think the game was over by that point, though. I think the time it was really over, or the time where it started to look over, rather, not where it was actually over, because that doesn't happen until the Nexus dies. The time where the game started to look really die out was that play bot lane, the 3v3, 3v3, 4v3, whatever it was, where Sin starts to come online. And that's kind of that turning point. Is Sin's on a hyperscaling champion. You've picked hyperscaler versus hyperscaler. You're trying to match at what point these champions come online. And the Jinx has just gone and got a double kill to accelerate into the game. You've already got winning mid, top, jungle. Now your bot lane's winning as well. And you have to just buy time. But 2 of your champions are not very good at buying time. The other 3 champions, one of them's okay at buying time. The other one needs the time. It's a very hard situation to be in once everywhere has fallen behind.
Interesting you bring that up. Let's roll the VT. And Rev, I want you to talk about this one, right? Because we were watching it and you were just like, yeah, this basically just opens up the game. The game is kind of GG, as Jika said, from this moment.
Yeah, I hope I was sounding as sophisticated as that, but all I said is it's Jover, because it was a really nicely facilitated dive, and it was done in 3 ways. The first one is diving, we respect the teleport, we back off, then the enemies are kind of over chasing, we're getting reset onto reset for the Jinx, and then Sin gets away with the 2-0-1 with an outscaling, hyper-scaling team fighter AD carry, and it's really hard for you to play the game from that point onwards. And what they also did is actually really put a lot of respect onto Venom Crest, because they could have just gone full monkey mode and fully engaged time and time again with the Nautilus, with the Aatrox flanking, but the Nautilus was on healing duty on top of the Jinx 24/7, and also they had the Vex, which is extremely nice equalizer champion versus all of that dashing engage that you want to lay onto the enemy immobile hypercarry.
Yeah, indeed. And Jika, we're going to run the second VT. Now, just for context, in the green room, because we do talk when the game is on, Red was like, yeah, I don't really see how Venom Crest ever win a team fight, and I feel like this perfectly encapsulates exactly that, right? Even though Sin has gone down, the Jinx has fallen, the big hypercarry is gone, they still just have a ridiculous amount of damage.
They absolutely do, and you kind of see what the fault of Venom Crest's comp is at this point. You see, they can dive Jinx very effectively. She's dead, she's gone. You know, that should, theoretically, be a fight win. Problem is, you've got a top laner, a jungler, and a support who realistically are just going to be diving. If Jace isn't sat back poking, he's diving with them. You've got LeBlanc, who is, for all intents and purposes, diving in as well. But you notice in that fight, a freebie is run round the wall with Peru just kind of saying, no, you're staying here, you come back. Like, you don't get to play this. And you don't have a solid front line as Venom Crest. You can't play a front-to-back team fight like that. Sure, you've assassinated the Jinx, but your AD carry's dead just as fast. And now you've got what is essentially 3 assassins, 4 if you count the Camille at this point in the game because she's not got items, trying to dive into what is a Volibear and an Aatrox, who have so much, as well as a Vex who can CC you over. You've got so much health to try and cut through without an AD carry, and no tank to buy space for that AD carry, that it becomes very, very hard. And while that was the shining light, that was the best case scenario fight for Venom Crest. You've killed Sin. You have that chance, but you have no way of following up past that point.
Indeed, and that is how it wrapped up. It is what it is. Ruddy pick up the win. Ruddy up once again. Venom Crest not going to be taking up that top spot. But what does that mean for the rest of our table? Well, essentially, Venom Crest are hoping that Lions Creed lose. Because if Lions Creed lose, there still will be a tiebreaker. However, if Lions Creed win, they take themselves second place. No drama, no extra tiebreaker. So with that being said, we are going to throw this to a quick break. When we come back, another pretty important match is happening. It's going to be Paragon taking on Verzik. Apologies, schedule changes that I was slightly a little bit too late to be aware of, but Lions Creed taking on Belfast Storm is our next game, which actually has a few more stakes in it than the final game of today then. But the big stakes, what are we asking for? Essentially, can Belfast Storm pull off a massive upset against Lions Creed, right? Because if Lions Creed do not win this game, then we will have a tiebreaker with them against Venom Crest. If they do win this game, they will take second place and assure themselves into playoffs with no drama, no extra games. So, with that being said, let's have a little talk about this, right? Let's have a look at the teams. Let's bring them up. Let's have a quick look. Who do I want to talk about first? Lions Creed. Let's talk about Lions Creed. Let's have a look. So, Lions Creed coming up right now. Obviously, big team, big names. I feel like we've all seen this one before, but Sheikah, just in case the people at home do not know, remind us once again.
Cabbage Creed, as we have so affectionately taken to calling them, or at least me and Brackish have so affectionately taken to calling them. Lions Creed Academy, Bust, Porp, QQR, Spark, and Heathen. For those who have been in the UK team for a while, Cabbage Family. Very good team individually and have very good synergy with each other. Have played against Ruddy at LANs several times, like with Insomnia. I've played together, I like Ruddy Painkillers, have played together for a very long time, and know each other's style very, very well.
Nope, okay.
My apologies. However, we have seen them falter a little bit in recent weeks. Porp and QQR not quite pairing up like they used to. Same with Porp and Bust. Kind of struggling to find their way around. I'm not too sure where the next route forward is for them. Because, in the meanwhile, you've got Spark and Heathen in the bot lane who are doing relatively well for themselves. But if the top side is struggling, the bot lane is going to have to pick up that slack. And I'm not sure if that's a situation they're going to be happy with.
Yeah, and I want to weigh in on this a little bit, right? Because Lions Creed were the #1 team going into the season, right? I think everyone who was watching the UKL would have had Lions Creed as their #1, if not maybe #2 behind either Venom Crest or Ruddy, but they were definitely going to be up there, right? I don't think anyone is surprised that they are in the top 2 spot, but they were almost invincible, right? They looked phenomenal in the start of the season. They went 10 games without a loss. Then they had a slip up to Verzik, right? Which I feel like maybe put them a bit on edge, but then I will say we've got to give the benefit of the doubt. They did play against Venom Crest. They did also play against Ruddy. 2 teams that we just saw are playing phenomenally well. So I think that realistically, Lions Creed, they were very, very strong. The slip to Verzik was a little bit surprising, but Verzik also on their crazy newfound strength arc where they seem to just be winning against everyone. But also they had to take on Ruddy and they had to take on Venom Crest. And I think that we talked about identity, we talked about form, we talked about kind of sharpening up as a team, and I feel like Venom Crest and Ruddy both did that really well throughout the split. So Lions Creed taking a couple hits here, I don't think is the most insane, and it also doesn't make me paint the picture of Lions Creed doing bad. I think it's more that other teams have kind of sussed Lions Creed out a little bit, and they need to further evolve. However, Rev, we are not playing the game of how long can we keep you silent, by the way. I'm going to get you in on this one right here. However, the question is that maybe they're not matching up against these top teams, but are they still a strong team that can be reliable? Rev, what is your kind of take on this team that had some questions about its early game, but no questions about its late game?
Well, the thing is, are you a strong team is a really easy question on paper, but a really hard question in context, because are you a strong team? And you're looking at Verzik, and Verzik suddenly starts picking up all those wins and having a streak, and everyone's going to be saying, yes, Verzik is suddenly a strong team, but are you a strong team as Lions Creed, Cabbage Family, when you start 10-0 and then go 0-3 and your Cabbage card gets avatared time and time again? I feel like no, because expectations are different. You're expected to be one of the heavy hitters, the first phase of Div 1 Four Nations UKLE, and it doesn't do. Yes, of course, you need to get some slaps in the face before the really important match in the playoffs, but nobody expects 3 slaps in a row. Everyone expects 1, maybe 2, then you kind of stand up, put some cold water all over your face, and you hit back, and Lions Creed didn't hit back. Today is going to be a test for them, not as much as in gameplay, I feel, but as in courage, as in mental, and they have to dominate if they want to prove that they belong in the top of the league, because this is what Lions Creed has put themselves as a goal. I don't think that nobody there is going to be satisfied with 3rd place, with 2nd place. Everyone wishes to get the gold.
Okay, indeed. Well, let's have a quick look at who is going to try and deliver them another wounding blow. It is Belfast Storm. Let's bring up the players right here. Zika, talk us through these players, some of which we've obviously known for a while, some of which who are evolving a bit more. I know you had a lot of things to say about the support.
Yeah, so Belfast Storm, we'll start with their more known members in terms of Dunlow and Limsey. Have been around in the UK scene for such a long time, very strong players in their own right. I believe Shin has been around for a little while as well. I personally am not as well versed in their antics. But as you mentioned, I believe that the strong point of this team is their support. Timur has shown us time and time again that if you give them a champion that has pick potential, that has one of these really impactful abilities that just kind of says, I'm singling you out, you're gonna die, they can work wonders with it. The Ashe is the big one that comes to mind. These arrows, laser focused, you can see just straight between the eyes, they're dead, they're gone. And with a coach like Sama behind them, they definitely have the ability to be performing better than they have been the last couple of weeks. I'm interested to see whether this team as a whole have actually finally started to gel. Because of course Belfast Storm, they made a change to their AD carry midway through the split, and I think that's kind of where they start to go downhill a little bit for me. And if Momo has been able to gel with the rest of the team properly by this point, you are in a very good position because you have very good individual players. It's just a case of, can you exist as a team to the same level that Lions Creed can with how long they've been playing together.
Indeed. Well, let's have a quick look. I want to talk about the head-to-head actually, because we talked a lot about bot lane in our pre-game for the first match of today. Let's kind of have another look at bot lane once again, Red, because obviously the role is very, very impactful, right? It is the carry of the team a lot of the time. So let's have a little head-to-head look for Momo versus Spark, because I feel like we had a little bit of moments with that. We're actually not going to go for the head-to-head right now because I believe we might be going towards draft in a second. But talk to me, Rep, a little bit about bot lane, right? Talk to me about how these two ADCs have kind of made their mark, because I feel like for Lions Creed, obviously just a very well-gelled team. I feel like they just love a team fight. We can see where the ADC impact's there. But for Momo coming into the split, what's kind of been your vibe on that take?
Well, so far I think he's tried to be meta ADC. Like, I watched his Varus, he's been doing okay with that, but it's Varus, so I don't know what to take away yet, because he needs to gel with the team. You talked about it time and time again, and the way to gel with the team perfectly is to just play the meta, play whatever your team finds in solo queue, finds in scrims the easiest, and just make sure that you know your spikes, you know how to communicate, you can limit your communication to the fundamentals and leave anything else away. But the thing is, do you have enough time to do that, and do you have enough motivation to do that? Because you're kind of locked for 6 right now. You don't have anything to lose, you don't have anything to gain. So what are you fighting for? Is there anything for them to fight for? And I'm not looking as in mechanics, but I'm looking as something else. I don't know, you want to call it glory? You want to call it motivation? Are you looking to prove yourself somehow over there? Is that what Momo is trying to do? Because if that's the case, then I'm looking at someone who can actually challenge Lions Creed and get them out of the game, at least in the early game. If not, then it's honestly whatever.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be an interesting one. I think this will show a lot, right? We know that Belfast Storm are going through to playoffs, right? This isn't going to change anything for them, whether they win or lose. But Lions Creed, obviously, it is going to be a placement in terms of whether they get second or have to fight out with Venom Crest. So there is a little bit more stakes, I feel like, for Lions Creed, which also makes me think, do we maybe get a little bit of a wacky draft from Belfast Storm, right? Maybe something that we haven't seen, maybe something that could be like a little bit left field that isn't going to give Lions Creed a simple time because it's not normal. Or do we maybe see kind of them sticking to old ways, just trying to finalize out the form against a pretty good team, Chico?
I think finalizing form here is definitely important. The idea behind not having any stakes behind your last game, so drafting wacky and wild, has always been very weird to me. Because if you know you're going into playoffs, you know, if you're a 10th place team, it doesn't make as big of a difference, right? But if you know you're going into playoffs, you can use this as a learning experience. Where are we really struggling? How can we be best prepared going into playoffs to give ourselves that chance to succeed? Because you're going into lower bracket. One loss and you're done. Your run is over. Your season's done. That's that, right? So I think using this as a learning experience against Lions Creed Academy, a team who are so well versed at playing 5v5s together, is definitely more important than just saying, all right, let's see if we can play upset.
Indeed. Well, we are going to go into draft here. Taliyah banned away. I made a whole petition about Corki being banned away from QQR, so I like that Belfast Storm was sticking to that because, like, come on, man. Like, if someone is playing Corki pretty much all of their games and winning, I feel like that's a bit of a, just ban that away. But we're going to see a couple others. You talked about the Ashe. Not today, Zika.
And maybe even the Varus Galaxy is being taken away from Spark. It's a first pick or first band for both of those teams. And even though it's slightly nerfed, I feel like we could have some flex TF. Because if I'm not mistaken, Belfast played it as well. It is one of those picks that can try and tear away the normal way of playing the game, because you don't just team fight, you don't just split push, you do a little bit of everything. You can also change your builds and force different playstyles from the enemy team, maybe force some QSSs or whatnot. The Varus is now banned, so we're going into some fresh territory for the first pick with no Senna, no Corki, no Varus, no Ashe.
Okay, I like it, to be honest. I like that we're getting a switch up. I'm interested to see what we see in the bot lane, right? Obviously, we saw Jinx a little bit earlier. That definitely looked very strong. Talking about picks that are still strong. Karma is still on the board. We talked about a flex, potentially Twisted Fate. That is definitely a flex on there.
It certainly is, and Karma's so good in so many different roles. I do like the Senna ban coming through from Belfast Storm. Senna Seraphine is a lane that Spark and Heathen love, so taking that away makes sense. But leaving that Karma up, you now have a 4-way flex on your hands. As Sin has shown us, it can go AD carry as well. So you're looking at top mid AD carry support. You've no idea where this is going. You have to hope and pray that you predict it right. But if they decide at last minute, go, actually no, it's going here, it's going to be a problem. The Gragas into it, I hope this Gragas isn't laning into it. I hope it's just like a Gragas jungle and can go nowhere near the Karma, because I don't think Gragas is going to have a fun time in that matchup.
I'll be honest, Gragas is one of, like, if I was going to make a hate petition about a champion, Gragas would be up there for me, because the fact that he can be in 4 different positions, right, is still absurd to me, right? Support, mid, top, jungle, wherever you want him, he can be there. It's very similar to the Karma at the moment, right? But I just feel like it gives a lot. And I also like that they've gone for it early, because as we've kind of talked about with the flexes, it gives them so many options that actually may even have Shin's pick already, but we're not going to let you know until later. The Nocturne being picked up, though, very standard, very strong. I think it sets them up for potentially going for maybe a more split push orientated pick in the mid to top section. But the Volibear, the storm is looming once again, and this time it's not for Belfast.
Yeah, and it's a really nice pick into the Nocturne as well. Usually Nocturne beats any other champion into 1v1. He plays with that lethal tempo, he tries to fear the enemy, but they have a really nice interaction where Volibear, right before he gets feared, he procs his Q, it will give him the movement speed, and Nocturne has 2 ways to continue that fight. You either wanna try and follow the Volibear, who runs away at the speed of light, and then he'll turn and stun you, or you run away and then he turns and stuns you once again. So it's a lose-lose scenario, but I really like the Orianna. I wanted to follow up into that. I like the combo. It's still giga broken if you don't have something to save you or something to split the enemy team, split the Nocturne from the enemy team, from the rest of the enemy team. Thing is that I feel like you're sacrificing a lot of bot prio right now, because you can have 2 more ADC bans, and with 4 AD carries already out of the fray, the
5
champion pool is going down.
Yeah, it is indeed. They've already taken the Twisted Fate as well, so they're taking away options. Obviously, there is this whole meta of like APCs as well. Seraphine could also be played in that bot lane, right? There is a bit of flexibility still. You could get wacky like the NLC and play Aurelion Sol there, Zika. So I do feel like there's still options, although I'm down for 4 more ADC bans.
It would hurt my soul, but sure, I'm happy for it. The inner AD carrying me would cry as we see another one come through. How did the Nocturne TF ults interact? Does Nocturne ult cancel out TF ult? Is it whichever one's used second? How does that?
It's cancelled.
Is it cancelled?
Yeah, it doesn't give that true vision. So Nocturne's ultimate actually works as a smoke screen unless you have a spell shield.
Ah, okay, that makes sense. But somehow Lions Creed Academy have got 3 power picks already. There's the Smoldergon. All we're looking at now is like, I don't know, like an Aphelios or a Xayah or something. And your pool is gone. Kog'Maw is another solid pick. I think at this point, when you're reaching this deep into the AD carry pool, that's another solid pick to just take away. For Lion's Creed, they have the ability to send this TF AD carry.
Let's
Zeri's gone as well.
go!
They have the ability to send this TF AD carry. This is not impacting their pick pool at all if Spark can play it. Momo, however, you have very little left to choose from. You basically have to say, okay, I'm taking either scaling or safety. What do I go?
Yeah, I think you need to go for the Zaya. Like,
Yeah.
it's either you pick it just to make sure that the enemy team cannot have it and cannot have one single button that cancels all of your engage, or you're just giving it away. And if you give away the Zaya, the Nock ult is mitigated, the Orianna ult is mitigated, the Gragas ult can be mitigated, and your whole combo goes to naught.
Well, they picked Jinx, so
This
the
is
speech
such a
that you
good Zaya
had
angle.
is for Zero. They've gone for it. They did press the button that seemed to disappear the draft, but that has come back now, fortunately for us. And I want to see what Lion's Creed swap into here, because obviously the Karma's still looming. I'm thinking it's going support. I'm surprised the Twist Fate isn't going top, but it looks like it's going to go mid because Aatrox is locked in, and it might actually be. Unless I'm misreading and it's actually Twisted Fate in the ADC role here, it could even be Karma bot lane, which I'm not sad about.
I think it'll be Karma mid TF AD carry if this gets locked in.
That's boring.
I think it makes more sense than sending the Karma into AD carry and letting because then you've got a lot of AP stacking with no real solid AD damage coming out. So I think you're looking at TF, you've got the hybrid damage coming from the TF if you send him AD carry. You've got Karma, who's got the access to the Malignants into full AP rush. You've got the Volley and the Nautilus to play frontline, and you've got the Aatrox to do whatever he so pleases. I do think the Zaya would have been big here, just to cancel out all of the engage on Belfast's. But now the Braum comes through, and suddenly where is your engage coming from for Lion's Creed Academy? That Unbreakable, it stops. Nautilus engage, it stops. TF engage. Volley can still get in, but your follow-up is really lackluster. I don't know who wins draft here, honestly.
All I'm saying is I like that Lion's Creed went different. You know, I like that they've gone for a couple new picks. They spiced it up. I feel like Belfast Storm have gone really classic, right? Which, for in terms of like how they want to play the game in this matchup, I feel is fair, right? We talked about how they want to kind of prep themselves for playoffs. This is a good opportunity for learning. Let's pick something that's old school. Let's pick something that's simple. It is the classic back-to-front team fight. You've all played it here before. Let's find out if we've got a weakness. I feel like Lion's Creed has said, let's try some new picks, right? New things are good. New shiny toys. Let's bring out the Twisted Fate, bring out the Karma. I personally think that Lion's Creed have a little bit of a scarier comp. However, for me, and Rev, I don't know if you agree with this or not, it very much depends on which Lion's Creed we get in the first 15 minutes, because we've seen them yeet some leads, and if they give massive leads over to this side of Belfast Storm, Jinx or Orianna are going to eat that.
Yeah, Jinx, Orianna, the Nocturne outscales Volibear always, because especially in the jungle where you don't have that many resources, you just end up being a frontline, boring tank, stacking 1.5 item, maybe 2 items in the best position. So Lion's Creed have 15 minutes of total domination, but if they slip up, then the game is kinda doomed.
Well, let's send it straight into game. A quick one. We're not going to keep us waiting. Zika, Brackish Brit take us into game 2. And will Lion's Creed secure their second place?
Find a good degree of fun, Jay, to see that it's Lion's Creed that I feel like actually cooked a little bit harder coming into this draft. Got the TF, we've got the Karma. I saw a bit of a grimace on your face, Jika, when I saw that Jinx locked in. Are you,
Yeah, I mean, the Jinx is something, to say the least. I think you have very little safety from the sheer backline dive
Is this a
coming out of
lie?
Lion's Creed.
I have very little safety?
The Jinx.
I know, it's just that you have very little safety. I was like, I felt vaguely threatened.
You'd think I'd be used to it by now, folks. We've been casting together for how long
You
now?
can never be used to it.
No, it's impossible.
I thrive on this.
But you have very little safety as this Jinx. You have the cleanse, sure, but there's so many things looking to fly onto your face, and unless your mid-jungle one-shots the enemy AD carry first, which is very unlikely to happen, it's a Twisted Fate, let's be honest here, 1 gold card and it's all she wrote, it's gonna be an interesting game. It's gonna be a hard game to play Jinx, but we'll see if Momo's got what it takes.
All eyes on Momo, but the rest of Belfast Storm, They're no slouches either. They obviously the legendary, the Nocturne Orianna combo. Dunlosi Limsey potentially going to put just a huge spanner into any engage opportunity. As you said, with the Braum getting locked in, it is now actually harder than it might seem at first to get onto Momo, because yeah, okay, you can throw out several things, but Unbreakable can deal with a lot of those. And if your follow-up is not basically instantaneous, then a shockwave just ruins you.
Yeah, Shockwave is going to be a problem if you stack up, which you're looking to do, right? You've got Aatrox, Volley, Nort. There's going to be stacks. There's going to be groups. There's going to be good Shockwave targets. My question is, can this backline...
You've got fantastic delivery as well, not just with the Nocturne, but with the Gragas also.
Yeah, absolutely. This game essentially comes down to which team pulls the trigger and gets their teamfight off successfully first.
Well, the important first thing we note is that Dunlosi spotted out starting on his chickens. I don't believe Belfast Storm have any clear, concise, guaranteed knowledge of where Pauper started. You can assume topside, perhaps, but obviously they don't know for sure. And of course, when you look at the Volibear, we saw it in the last game. In spite of Bartoldi's slightly weird pathing on the Lee Sin, Puru was just clearing so much faster. And with the Sky Splitter damage being as high as it is, Volibear can do a full clear into a gank, very healthy, and it's real dangerous.
It certainly is, and we can already see, you know, a camp up on Dunlosi, basically on tempo with him. The Krugs haven't been cleared, but Volley clears multi-camp so fast, he clears solo camp so fast, and does it so healthily, that while Nocturne is probably going to be about half health, I want to say, when looking at Scuttle, Volley should still be full.
Yeah, we'll be a little bit slower doing so, though, so I think maybe Dunlosi opts to leave the Krugs just to make sure that he has that slightly faster time of it. Shin taking a large chunk of damage off of Bust in the trade, though. Of course, Happy Hour has got the biscuits to keep himself topped up as well, and I think they're going to assume that, for the most part, Paup is not going to be looking towards the top side as well. There is so much CC that can be put down in the bottom lane, Spark with the gold cards, Heathen with Dredgeline with just the passive stun, that it's going to be real easy for Lions Greed to make something happen if the Belfast Storm bottom lane slip up at all. As Timur
may have done. Not quite.
Takes a big chunk of damage for his trouble as Momo got a sneaky little recall off, manages to get a cull for himself, so knows that, for the most part, Belfast Storm, they kind of want to be pushed in. They want to just be receiving waves, not trade too much, and just let Momo scale up with the cull.
And that's a perfectly solid strategy, but with so much ability to abuse this Jinx, especially if that Unbreakable gets used willy-nilly, things get very hard very fast. That's what I've got my eye out for. Can you abuse the fact that this Jinx only really has one tool of safety? Because we could see a bit of a scuffle in the jungle.
Dunlosi is going to step in. Will get smote away. Limsey is much closer though. Paup has to flash to the safety of QQR. Root will land. That's a big chunk of damage with the Sky Splitter. And everyone will flip on back. Paup, pixel perfect almost. Dropping the Sky Splitter on top of the respawning chickens. That is just the benefit you get of having that perfect timer from the early ward.
Now, I have to ask, as a jungler, Rakesh, flash for big chicken, worth or not worth?
I'm going to go with not worth. That is also going to really affect Paup's gank potential. Trying to rush on forwards. But right now, I don't think Lions Greed care all that much. They have a little bit of an advantage. They definitely have priority just in general across the map. We can see QQR is pushing in Limsey right now. Paup going to use that to turn that into the first set of Kevins. These grubs will get dropped off the map. Dunlosi in no position to contest it. And more importantly, Dunlosi's bot lane in no position to help him take Drake.
Hello, Kevin, says Paup, but it looks like Spark and Heathen could be in a bit of trouble.
Flash has to be burned from Spark. The stun will
That's
come
it.
through. The fear as well as First Blood handed to Momo. And they're continuing this forwards. Timmer nearly dropping. The minion damage not quite going to be enough. And Dunlosi's like, okay, well, I can't take Drake right now. I'm just going to hand First Blood on a platter to my Jinx.
Well, Jinx has a lead. Not a great one right now, but as
Up in CS, has First Blood, has Cull. This is, as you said, not a huge amount right now, but it can scale up very, very quickly.
it certainly can, and I mean, this Jinx now going to be a force to be reckoned with. TF going up with the Kershi Shard, Jinx yet to recall again. You're on 4 part here.
Flashing on in, the Drake will be secured by Belfast Storm, but now they've got to get out with their prize. Shockwave will come through, Timmer flashes, but the follow-up is going to be too much, and that's a double kill for QQR's Karma. Objective for 2 kills. You could maybe count the First Blood as part of that. Shin getting beat on by Bust as well. And we're already seeing it. It's not a dominant early game from Lions Creed Academy, but they're brawling. They are building up slight gold advantages as QQR, knowing that the Shockwave is down, now going to look to bully onto Limsey. It's only the phase rush that keeps the Ori safe.
No mana as well. Of course, the cooldowns are now down for this Karma, so there's not kill threat right now. But if Porp decides to do a cheeky gank once that 6 comes
Is
through, which
Spark
should
aware
happen
that
any
Tim
minute
is here?
soon.
Is
Probably
Spark
not.
aware that Tim is here? Because he can walk straight on in. A gold card will not necessarily save him. Concussive blows already stacking as Momo is coming in. His support is miles away. He has no flash as the rundown can now come through. Flame Chompers get dropped. Spark has to sidestep them, and he'll walk straight into the zap as Momo picks up another one.
A very good punish coming out from Belfast on there. Spark a little bit too far forward on this very mobile, very squishy marksman slash mage, whatever you would like to call the Twisted Fate at this point in time. Very, very good read from the Belfast Storm bot lane on what they can do and the strength of their champions at this point in the game based on the lead that they have. And if they can keep this up, the game just gets so hard.
A lot of gold, a lot of XP has been potentially lost by Spark in this early game. We can already see down around 10 CS, and we've already got the 2 kills onto Momo as well. Well on the way towards a first item. And here I was saying Belfast Storm could just chill in the bot lane. They have very different ideas.
And it's working, right? I think that's what's even more surprising to me is...
Oh yeah.
A Jinx, a champion notorious for not having great early game damage, is paired up with Braum, and suddenly he's just melting through a Twisted Fate. I'm not entirely sure how, but she is.
Concussive blows.
Yeah.
Really quite good, it would seem, as Dunlosi lurking towards the bot side of the rift. As soon as Spark shows his face, you can just drop the paranoia on him. There go the Flame Chompers. And again, Spark is miles out of position. He will sit in the brush and await his demise as Momo goes on to a killing spree. Porp is here, but it's mostly just as a heads up to make sure they don't lose too many more plates.
Another donated kill to this Jinx, and I mean, sure, it's not the end of the world if your TF doesn't quite scale super quickly, but when you look at the rest of the comp, you realize actually this is a big problem. Karma not going to be a champion to 1v9 you the game. Aatrox can, but very hard into a Fed AD carry. Nautilus and Volley are more just there to buy space. It's going to be a very, very hard situation to come back from as Lions Creed Academy if Spark keeps getting the boot put in.
And the gold, dead even. We were talking on the desk, or you were at least. I was present. As Shin finds Bust, forcing out the World Ender, not quite able to get the kill, but that's a flash down as well that did not have to be committed by the Belfast Storm top laner. Now Porp has to choose between the Kevins and helping his top laner. Bust is going to leave now, but now multiple Belfast Storm members making it towards top side. They are going to look to clear out as Momo has also found Spark. The stun will land onto the Jinx. Chase down not quite going to happen as the Super Mega Death Rocket flies. Is going to find QQR. It's not going to be a kill though as Limsey has dropped. Destiny being channeled as well. Shin going to be targeted by that as the root will come through from QQR. One more hit would do it as the Q will land. Lions Creed Academy, they punish having the fact that there are extra members towards the top side. Belfast Storm, their strongest member in the bottom lane, can't assist.
Well, I jinxed it. You know, your fighting's very hard if your TF is behind. Apparently not. That was a 3 versus 3 up until a 4 versus 3 versus 4 until 4 versus 4.
Speaking of jinxed it, the Jinx is going to be in some real trouble trying to do the damage onto Spark here. Heathen's going to walk up, land the root. You can follow that up with all of the CC, and Spark will be gifted back the kill on to Momo. After that play, we now see the TF has picked up a kill, has picked up 2 assists. The Karma of QQR is 4-0-2. Pop's not doing so bad for himself either at 2-0-2. And the Jinx...
It's a 2.5k gold lead.
What are you doing, bud?
Has paranoia.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah.
Flash.
Forces out the flash. Timmer not quite able to join in time to assist. Okay, sure. The flash is down. But the TF's not what you've got to worry about right now. It's this Karma.
Yeah, this Karma is a massive, massive problem. She's going to start to hurt. She's not going to be a 1v9 carry, but she does hurt a good bit. You see there. The ult Q, the mantra Q there, just chunks Limsey with the Malignance. I apologize, Lions Creed, for saying that you had no way of playing this game if TF completely goes out of the game. I was wrong, and I will hold my hands up to that fact because you managed to play that out very, very well. Now, with Dragon up, we could see another big fight.
Pop looking to find the damage. The hook will land onto Timmer as well. See if the chase down can continue. Good damage being put through. Stun will get locked onto Pop as well. As 4 members of both teams are on the bot side of the Rift. Timmer again having to worry about being engaged upon. Will be able to use the stand behind me to get away from the dredge line. Lions Creed Academy, they will have the inside line on towards the Drake here. Dunlosi already making that call. Does not want to give up his farm. Wants to keep on building up, scaling up. Limsey also kind of needs to catch up a bit considering all of that gold QQR got from his kills.
So let's take stock a second. The 2,000 gold lead, 5 grubs and a mountain dragon to a ocean dragon. A lot of your gold is on your Jinx, but looking across the rest of the board, there is a 600 gold lead in jungle, a 1,400 gold lead in mid lane. Your entire gold lead currently is made up of your mid jungle duo, which is terrifying when you consider Volley Karma is not an easy to kill duo.
And Soul Flare will kill onto Limsey as well. As soon as the root lands, this is the thing perhaps we didn't factor in. As soon as one thing lands, everything lands. It's like, okay, focused resolve from Karma lands. Then you're getting dredged lined, then you're getting depth charged, then you're getting thundering smashed. Like, everything is going squarely onto your face. The pick potential of this Lions Creed. You get hit by one piece of CC, you're probably not able to press any of your buttons before you die.
It is a very difficult situation to be in if you are the one getting caught onto with all this CC, but as we can see, this Jinx, she's doing so much damage, and realistically should not be the one getting caught by the CC.
Shouldn't.
We'll
see how that progresses. We're across the 14-minute mark, as we say. 2.5k gold lead for Lions Creed Academy. They'll continue to look to push their advantage. Of course, they did get the Pentagrub. They will get a little Void Might to help them out every so often when they're wailing on those turrets. First brick yet to be secured, but of course that advantage will be capitalized on pretty quickly, especially since we see Pop here on to Shelly. Going to be pretty uncontested in taking that, as well as Dunlosi is currently trying to find an angle in the mid lane. Has the ball from Limsey. Heathen going to come in, spots out the Nocturne, and completely diffuses the play.
Good awareness from Heathen there to just kind of be like, I'm just going to be here in case something happens. I can tell you're not looking to fight. You do lose bot tower for it, which is first tower, but you get the Herald. You stop the Nocturne being able to do anything. Corp now has angle to invade because you've got so many people here. It's a good tempo
able
play.
to secure that. There's no red buff there, as Pop will find Dunlosi. The stun does get eaten up with the Shroud of Darkness, but now Dunlosi can't step into his jungle because he knows QQR is there as well. Shin is not in a position to support him. Limsey is not in a position to support him. And so more farm, more gold is given across onto this Volibear.
And the Volibear is kind of scary. Kind of.
Yeah, just a little bit. Looking elsewhere on the map right now. Got 2 minutes until the first Infernal Drake will spawn onto the Rift. You see those little Infernal Cinders available to be secured. Spark needs to be a little careful as Dunlosey is going to go straight on in. It is a TP response, and the Ghost of Spark now means he can potentially chase down. Shroud of Darkness has already used the flash. Has to be used, and Spark is chasing forwards. Pulp coming in as well. Another stun card locked in. Shin with the phase rush just about able to make it to safety. Dunlosey's going to need to keep running. Pulp has his name there. Meanwhile, Momo and Timur have switched up towards the top side. They will be able to secure their second turret of the game as Limsey now looking to punish in on towards Heathen, and the Nautilus is not going to get away from this one. It's going to be another kill handed onto the Jinx. That'll be her fourth of the game, already at a full item. Very close towards a second as well. As Spark is now looking to choose his target. The stun now coming through. Bust trying to do the damage. Momo flashes.
Oh
One more auto will do it. And the Get Excited will get Momo out of there. Lion Speed Academy, they try and close the jaws, but it's the Chompers that have the last laugh.
And we're back to a only 500 gold lead. This is a game of all time. This Jinx is against the world, it would seem, but doing such a good job of it. Momo, I had questions coming into this game. You seem to have gelled.
This is a statement performance.
Yeah, this is a statement performance. You have gelled. You have proven me wrong. You are doing an outstanding performance. You've got 2 towers under your belt now. A very, very strong showing from this Jinx indeed.
2
Interesting.
items at 17 minutes.
Yeah, 2 items at 17 with an infinity edge at 17 minutes. More importantly, is insane. This is absolutely nuts for an AD carry. You are well above the curve as to where you should be. But a very interesting thing to point out just quickly is the Swifties on Spark means your attack speed isn't really quite there where you want it to be. However, there's a lot of slows on the enemy team as we saw when Spark was trying to
How much
run
does
them
Lion Speed Academy care? Because we already see Rapid Fire Cannon picked up. I feel like Spark's role is now press Ghost or just use Swifty's movement speed to land the opening stun.
Possibly, but TF is still a lot of your physical damage. He essentially fills the role of that AD carry in this game. I'm expecting a Stormrazor to maybe be the third item we see come out here. Because the plan with the AD carry TF is you stack these energized items, then you go into just a regular crit because of how crit interacts with your kit now, as that is a Dragon over to Belfast Storm. Oh no, it wasn't. It was Dragon over to Lion's Grid. I'm going insane.
Yes.
2-1 now. But yeah, you have a lot of room with what you build. I just think that the Swifties is interesting when you consider how much Spark was being slowed when trying to run down Dunlosey and Shin.
Speaking of Shin, I'm just going to use the Bomber to make sure that that bot lane wave is pushing in Belfast Storm's favour. We're looking a minute towards the Baron as Timur is taking all of the hurt. TPs, however, everything coming through, and this Braum is surviving. Dunlosey looking for Spark on the backside. Limsey will be able to take that one down. Heathen will drop as well. Yes, Timur will drop, but there's still Momo. Pulp going to try and do the damage, but the shielding, the movement speed is enough to keep him safe. Pulp will drop. QQR is able to make it away, but with pretty much empty hands as this Jinx. All of the kills, most of the gold for this Belfast Storm roster. The rest of the team know the assignment. Get down, Mr. President.
Momo having a standout performance. 2,000, almost 2,500 gold up on their lane opponent at this point. So strong on this Jinx. The gold lead is now in Belfast Storm's favor. A beautiful team fight, good target focus, good protections. It was just top to bottom, Belfast Storm playing at this game out exactly as they need to. QQR, the only standing damage dealer right now for Lions Grid Academy, can't quite find these mantra Qs onto the Jinx, and that's where problems start to rise. Baron has just spawned. We have 3 minutes until the next dragon. Sieging is very hard for Lions Grid Academy. They're a very short range comp. Herald's been dropped. We'll have to see if there's a fight anytime soon. But my gut says
she will get her charge off. The team's
Wait.
right now trying to spread out. Timur, however, taking a lot of CC. Stand behind me cannot be used to get across the wall, and Lion Screed may just have found their angle, especially since the Braum is the biggest part of the protection package for this Jinx. Shelly will not be allowed to get a second charge off. This moment, again, just continuing to have space made for him as in comes the paranoia. Dunlosi trying to find the backside. Super Mega Death Rocket will not find its target. Dunlosi will drop. The rest of Lion Screen Academy now trying to rally to protect their top laner. Bust healing for so much right now. But at the end of the day, as long as Momo is firing, no one in this rift is safe. It ends up being a 1-for-1 top laner for jungler. Maybe 2 if you count Timur dying earlier.
And suddenly you're seeing how hard it is to fight into this composition. There's so much peel for this Jinx. You just cannot get on top of her. QQR nearly falling there as well. Both these teams have buttons where you just pull the trigger and you start fighting and you start to just melt through. Problem is, there's still carries that you can't kill. It's Karma versus Jinx. And while Karma does very well in very short bursty trades, Jinx is always going to excel in terms of a long extended team fight, and that's what we are seeing as Shin being collapsed on now.
3 members of Lion Screen Academy against 1 lone Gragas. I think we know how this is going to go down, as he will go down. Lion Screen Academy also not able to get towards the Baron in that time. So, a nice pick secured. Most of those cooldowns are going to be back by the time the next fight happens as well. 1:15 until the next Infernal Drake will come up onto the Rift. It would be soul point for Lion Screen Academy if they were able to secure it. Although we do have to watch out. Of course, soul point for a Baron is a trade that a lot of teams would take.
Definitely is, although with it being Infernal Soul, I'm not so sure on that. Infernal Soul, very, very strong, very, very good for both of these teams. It just adds to that burst that little bit more, right? And if you have that little bit more burst, especially against this Jinx, if you ever get to her, she should just die on the spot. So I would contest it if I was Belfast Storm, but there's a reason I'm not playing for Belfast Storm, right?
But since it's not the actual soul itself, you could argue that getting the Baron and the gold that comes with it sets you up better for the soul fight, right?
Possibly, but you do scale better, so just buying that time through taking the dragon.
But look at Momo! Chunking Spark already. They're looking for the angle in. Sky Splitter will slow. But no CC has landed as yet. And Lion Screen Academy are being forced to hide beneath their turrets. Momo on 3 items now with the Phantom Dancer as well. As Belfast Storm, they force Lion Screen to hide beneath their stone walls. And then they can go and take that Drake that they don't need to contest anymore. Because they know exactly where they just forced their enemy to be.
They can keep forcing till the cows come home. Because realistically, there's not much that can be done in return.
The waves will get cleared out pretty quickly. Wave clear, however, from Lion Screen Academy. Pretty good. Bust. He's going to have to contend with Shin. The explosive cask coming through as well. As Belfast Storm look to try and find their pick. Instead, Dunlosi going to look for Spark towards the backside. Not quite able to find it, but Momo is free firing. When you're not the one being engaged upon, it's all good for this Jinx. Holds on to the Super Mega Death Rocket for now. They will fall back. Dunlosi a bit low as Timur will take a hook to the face. Needs to get away. Unbreakable will do a large amount of work, but still has to contend with Bust as well. Limsey now in some trouble. Also will have to flash away. As Bust still looking for the angle in Belfast Storm. They are able to get away, but they have to burn a lot of flashes, a lot of cooldowns to do it.
Braum has Hex Flash. You're not too fussed about losing that. The more important thing is you're not giving gold back to Lion Screen Academy.
Lion Screen Academy,
they have a gold lead.
they feel confident. They are starting off the Baron. Shin going to throw out the explosive cask here. But his health is going to last a little while, but not long enough, as Timur and Dunlosi still need to come out from the base right now. Heathen looking for Momo will force the flash out from the Jinx. Mana is so low for both of the Belfast carries. Shockwave flashed away from by Spark here as we all return to clearing out mid waves. And everybody chills. Couple of kills picked up for Lion Screen Academy, but most importantly, no Baron taken.
Momo had no mana. Playing that fight out was always going to be very, very difficult. But it does force them off the Baron, as you say, and you force Spark's flash. This TF no longer safe from the all-in potential for the next
And
5
less
minutes.
dangerous. Flash gold card is off the table for the next 5 minutes. Now, that's not to say that Lions Creed Academy don't have plenty of other ways to potentially punish this flashless Momo. But as we've seen through a majority of the fights thus far this game, Belfast Storm are willing to throw as many bodies as are needed to keep this Jinx safe.
Throw bodies, they will. Now sitting 2,000 gold still ahead of lane opponent, but Shin 2,000 gold ahead of...
Well, Bust is 2,000 ahead of shit.
Now 2,000 gold ahead of Shin, yeah, my bad. And we are, again, we're still seeing a 2,000 gold lead in favor of Lions Creed Academy. While all your gold is on your Jinx, the rest of your team is struggling a little bit in terms of keeping up with the enemies. So
Lions Creed Academy, for a second it looked like they were going to try and threaten the Baron. Belfast Storm go, I bet we're just going to take your tier 1 turret. There is Paranoia coming through, as well as Heathen taking a chunk of damage. Lions Creed Academy scrambling, it seems, to try and find a response as the Glacial Fissure lands onto Port, forcing out the Stormbringer. But the return now potentially coming forwards. A lot of damage has been dealt. Shin now going to have to be the front line as everybody else is so low. Momo already around half health. Port looking for the angle in. Sky Splitter will not find him as Shin flashes forward, not able to find his mark. QQR dropping the Mantra Soul Flares one after the other on such a low cooldown, as well as Shin now taking a chunk himself. Momo opening up towards Bust though. He looks to go forward. Bust will find Timmer. He will find Momo as well, as Belfast Storm are suddenly forced to flight. Dunlosi has dropped also. Limsey will fall beneath his tier 2 turret. And Shin, you can't hide under the inhibitor, as Spark will take that down as well. And Lions Creed, they pounce. They tear Belfast Storm asunder. And there's a Baron for dinner as well.
the pure, unadulterated synergy between these Lions Creed players. The Cabbage family have risen, they've fully grown. And now it's time for harvest. As the storm, it wanes, the power, it falls. Bust finding every important member of this team. Momo falling so quickly. Bust, the man on your screen right now, the linchpin in these fights, doing so much work in terms of being able to catch out these important carries. And it gets them a Baron, it gets them an ace. The Dragon up in 15 seconds will give them Soul Point if they can contest that. And with TP up and available, you have to imagine that this fight will come.
Bust running on out of base here. There is the TP coming out. Belfast Storm, they've just sent Shin top lane, so they'd have to convert, and they'd have to commit their own TP if they want to do that. However, Porp has found a target. Limsey taking a chunk of damage. Rather, the turnaround is here, but you got to watch out for the turnaround. If the turnaround might not come though, as Bust stepping forwards, the tier 2 turret will drop. Timmer gets melted. Momo not able to deal damage as the front line. These members of Belfast that fell behind cannot survive long enough to give Momo the space he needs to fight these.
Lions Creed there just pulling on their power left, right, and center. Momo, you are the only person with gold, and we said it. I said it a couple of minutes ago. The rest of the team struggling, falling behind, having to opt for that mortal reminder. Momo doesn't have the Giant Slayer passive. Into Volibear, Aatrox, that's gonna feel bad. That's gonna be hard to come back from. But Belfast, if they can hold out, if they can get a couple more items on these tanky members, it's going to get hard because your TF is still not totally scaled into the game. We're looking very, very strong.
How far is fully scaled though? Because he's on 3 items.
4.
Has the Kraken now.
Terminus fixes the problems that TF has at this point.
Well, I mean, one Mantra Soul Flare just took 2/3 of Momo's health. Like, we can talk about Bust all day long as well. We need to talk about QQR. 5-0-12. 17 of the 19 kills picked up by Lions Creed in this game have involved this Karma. 3 items, including a Rabadon's. And is absolutely melting through the Belfast Storm right now, as Inhibitor has dropped in the bottom lane. They're looking for one in the mid as well. The combo, not as damaging as you might like it. Pulp has to go over the wall. They are going to have to sacrifice Heathen for this to happen. Momo goes excited, is looking for the damage, not quite able to find Spark, and they will be able to clear out the mid lane very, very quickly. Not sure how much more they can get here. Baron, not up for 3 minutes. Dragon, not up for just shy of 4. Belfast Storm, sure, they find a good pick, but there's nothing else on this rift for them to play.
This is a rough. This is a rough situation to be in, because Momo can free fire, right? But the tanks are so tanky, there's no really easy way to kill them. In that situation where you're defending your base, you want to be killing multiple people, right? But you can only get Heathen. The peel coming out of QQR and Pop. The ability to just say, actually, you know what, we're not taking this fight, armor bounce.
Yep.
Belfast, they have the buttons to go in. They don't have the buttons to get out.
I think potentially the most important pickup is actually from Momo right now. We see Mortal Reminder picked up because Bust is tanky, has got Sunder Sky, has got Sterax, but a lot of his survivability comes from that innate Aatrox healing. If that gets removed by this Jinx, then it could be just that little bit easier for Belfast Storm to be able to find those fights, because it has been Bust, for the most part, that has been making it so difficult for Momo to position in these fights.
The issue you run into with Mortal Reminder without something like Runans is you have two people you need to be hitting, right? Porp and Bust are both going to be healing for their entire health bars at a point. You have to be able to hit them both. You can't currently do that. Oh. You can't currently do that. Right? You can hit one or the other. And if you hit one, the other's going to run you through. So... And I don't like AD carries having to pick up the anti-heal. I think it's much better on something like a mage, where you can apply it to multiple people very quickly.
Yep.
I just think LDR is generally better here for what you're into. However, this can work if Momo is afforded the room to play, but that is largely down to every other member of the team being in a position where they can buy that space.
As we take a brief freeze frame to remind ourselves, with 32.5 minutes, 2 minutes until potential Infernal Soul for Lions Creed Academy, they hold a nearly 10k gold advantage over Belfast Storm. If they win this game, they force a tiebreaker with Venom Crest Serpents for second place. Belfast Storm, there's not actually any stakes in this game. If they lose, they're still 6th place. If they win, they are 6th place. However, if you are a Venom Crest Serpents fan, you are putting all of your heart and soul into supporting Belfast Storm, and particularly Momo in this game. Because it's only through Belfast Storm victory that you ignore the tiebreaker. Bust, looking for that backline, as you say, putting a large chunk of damage in, but most of the carries are able to step away. Glacial Fissure comes across. Momo is able to deal the damage, but the dredge line, the depth charge comes forwards, and all the damage of Lions Grid Academy will drop. Limsey will fall. It's only Shin left, and I talk about hope. It was snatched away in an instant as the Pride will smash through the Nexus turrets. They want there to be no question. Cabbage Creed are still a strong team, and Venom Crest Serpents, you are not taking second place this split without a fight.
Venom Crest hopes smashed against the Rock. Lions Creed really looked dire, right? But they maintained a gold lead throughout most of that game. Despite Momo being so strong, despite so many of these mid-game fights not going their way, they kept a gold lead. They were able to scale. They got to a point where their team fight was so obnoxious to deal with, and then that one catch onto Momo from Bust into another catch onto Momo from Bust and Porp, and the game is done. It just shows how the synergy that you build as a duo, as a team who have played together so often, works. Because I think if you put any other team in that position, you're kind of hitting the 20-minute mark and you're like, this is looking really bad, it might be lost. But evidently Lions Creed, they're like, it's fine. We're fine. We don't mind. Jinx is their only carry, she's the only one with gold. Just carry on playing. Just play normally. What's the worst that can happen, right? And in doing so, they have secured themselves that second seed. There will not be a tiebreaker, which was honestly, I think, the least expected outcome of tonight's matches. But it's just well played coming through from Lions Grid. It was a good attempt from Belfast. As you say, they are still making playoffs. They are still going that lower bracket run.
Thank you for the correction, by the way. I think I got a little lost in the moment. There is no tiebreaker. Because Venom Crest lost and Lions Creed won, they snatched second away from Venom Crest. Thank you for that. Good clarification. But as you rightly say, no matter how monstrous the enemy AD carry is, at the end of the day, they're a squishy little jinx. If you can find the engage, you can easily take them out. You did it several times, back to back to back. And that's how you close out a game. I'll throw it back to you guys on the desk to talk some more about it. That's the end of the regular season for me. It's quite a nice feeling. I guess I'll see you all in playoffs.
Okay, and welcome back in, Chica, to the desk. And thank you very much, Brack, for taking us through that game. Lions Creed there, securing their victory, securing themselves in playoffs, and no tiebreakers will be had, which may be sad for some. But with that being said, a lot went on in this game. There was just... I feel like this is just the classic Lions Creed, right? Let's not waste any time. Let's throw to the first VT, right? Let's just get it cracking from the get-go. We talked about early game rev, and Lions Creed, they just love to yeet it away.
Yeah, I don't know what went into all those thoughts into the earlier fights, and even earlier than that, because the Jinx was so huge in all those fights, and you never managed to focus her down. It's so hard for you. You don't have the range. When you commit, you then commit one by one, and you're giving so much space and agency for Momo to just become this huge, obnoxious beast that Jika and Brackish told us as well, who needed to be dealt with, and you just made your life difficult for no reason at all. It's like Lions Creed needs 15 minutes to wake up, have their energy drink, and then they can actually play the game.
Yeah, no, indeed. And I want to actually quote Sin right in the chat. They were like, how did Lions Creed get allowed to have Twisted Fate, Karma, and Volibear? And I got to ask Chica, was this just quite a bit of a draft diff in terms of power picks?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I mean, realistically, there is no situation in which you have a Jinx that fed and you should be struggling this hard, right? The problem was all of the gold was on the Jinx, for one. So the rest of the team really didn't have the agency they needed. They weren't tanky enough, there wasn't enough damage coming out, whatever they were struggling with, right? But you're looking at three of the most broken champions in current meta, all on the same team, all looking to do the same thing. They all want to just go, pick someone and kill them. And that's exactly what they did. They picked Momo, they said, alright, Momo dies. And you can see it in that last team fight, right? Everybody dogpiles this Jinx. Just immediately on top of this champion, there is nothing that can be done. So I think it's a little bit column A, a little bit column B, really. It is a bit of a draft diff. There's no world in which these three champions should realistically get through, along with something like the Nautilus, right? Is that if you're giving over these power picks, you're taking one of the more solid support picks away. That didn't really happen. And then all of your gold was funneled onto one carry, and funnel meta was kind of taken away.
Indeed, and let's kind of have a look at that. All right, Chica, you could talk us through this next one. It's Lions Creed's first big team fight win that kind of brought them back into the game, and I just feel like they're just doing their normal stuff.
Yeah,
this is Lions Creed.
It's a standard front to back, right? And then Bust finds the angle to just go on backline. The second Momo's gone, you just run down. It's just straight forwards. There is no back anymore. But Lions Creed are very good at playing this front to back style where you let Spark and QQR either get some poke out or just get a good bit of damage down. Then you've got Porp, Heathen, and Bust looking for an angle in, looking for any angle that will allow them to explode a fight. And you see it beautifully there. Bust finds the angle, flashes in, catches everybody. It's all she wrote.
Yeah. And I got to quote Rev here. This is just super illegal. I don't know how this team are allowed back in. And Bust is crazy. As we play the last replay, Rev, you can talk us through this one because I feel like he just wrapped up Lions Creed in a nutshell.
Yeah, thing is, I feel like this was Belfast's game to lose. Momo flashed here perfectly. Timur was on top of him just to kill them, but maybe they're not used to playing with such an advantage. We were talking prior to the game in the green room with Jika that they are 5 really good individuals, but they're not a really good team. So their sum is not as great as the sum of their units,
Individual
and
parts, yeah.
it showed. They were ahead. They had the game in their hands. They had the scaling comb. They had the initiation. They had the peel. They had the range. They had everything, and then they had a bunch of mistakes, which allowed Bast to have a monstrous performance because you cannot allow with a Braum, with an Orianna ultimate, an Aatrox to find time and time again access to your backline when your backline is a Jinx. It's an immobile carry. One sweet spot is all it takes for you to blow out your summoners, and then you're at a disadvantage. And Lionsgrid got away with murder in that game. And honestly, if I was Lionsgrid, I'm gonna sound again like a negative Nancy. I would not be happy with that W because I expect more from the team.
Yeah, well, they have a little bit of time. Playoffs is their next location. They are second spot going into it, so looked pretty good walking their way through that one. Belfast Storm, as we said, already going to make it through. They are number 6, but we're going to pause it here. We're going to say goodbye for today from me and Rev. I believe Jika is still here for the next game. And with that being said, it's a new desk, it's a new set of games, and another banger on the way. Do not go anywhere. Next up, it is now going to be Verzik versus Paragon.
pull up in that Lambo with the 10 on it. Everything on fleek, 14 got a rims on it. I pull up in that Lambo with the 10 on it. Everything on fleek, 14 got a rims on it. I pull up in that, 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 pull up Lambo with the 10 got it.
After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. People wanna talk that talk in reality. You have not seen me in action. You think the come up comes overnight. You ain't behind the scenes. Trust me, these things don't just happen. No shade to Gerald, but G's don't come easy when you tryna eat out producing and rapping. I read that contract you sent me to sign, but excuse me, I can't help myself, I'm just laughing. Hey, you tryna cut out a piece of my pie, and I asked you politely, what's it that you offer me? Yeah, I produce all my own beats, and I have no intention of losing my publisher. Yeah, independent individual, boy, I've been eating off passive residuals. Yeah, let's be professional. Thanks for your time, but I had to decline at that principle. I've been scheming up a plan, hey. I've been saving all I can, hey. You could call me David Ramsey. The way I handle these bands, hey. We ain't messing with the old model. New era, new kid, we full throttle. Just know that the come up is not a flaw. My amigos, they focus, know what to do. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. Stack and put it back in it. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. Stack and put it back in it.
Yo, look, I ain't saying that I'm rich, cause if I'm honest, I've never been. But when I look at all these other kids, I feel just a little bit ahead of them. You should know the business is competitive. There's a lot of people that I'm better than. Even veterans ain't got the knowledge I do. I've been reinvesting all I ever spent. Stop pretending like you poppin'. Who been out here making profit? Told my mama that I got this. I wonder if she noticed what my job is. I don't know how I'ma make it, but I know no matter what, I'm finna find a way. All my homies finna eat and I ain't letting no one on my team look at an empty plate. Yeah. Went from a boy to a man, ayy. Every day been making plans, ayy. They don't really understand, ayy. Gotta look out for the family. I won't fall for any scam, yeah. Only worried about the fans, yeah. I won't compromise the brand, yeah. I've been saving up the bands, whoa.
After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. After After I get it, I reinvest. Stack and put it back in it. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. Stack and put it back in it.
So
It was interesting. It was interesting. I think that's the best way to put it. And Shivy, I got to get your opinion here because, of course, it's been a while since I think you've been on the desk here. I got to ask you, taking a look at these two teams fighting for 4th and 5th for basically a final life, what do you think of that? What are the stakes here? Do you think it's quite a bit, or do you think they're going to be riding on this pretty easy?
Oh, I mean, for either of these teams, right? I think specifically for Versic, getting into that 4th place, that higher seed, they realistically have gone 1-1 with every other team above them, Ruddy, Lions Creed, Venom Crest, and they may have to play Ruddy in that first round of playoffs. There's a world where they win that. I know it's best of ones. We're going into a different format, but there's a very high chance that Versic winning this can set themselves up for a crazy winner's bracket run.
They absolutely could, but of course, at this current time, we got to see the players showing up to give us a little taste of what for. So let's go ahead and show you off Paragon. We know them, we love them. They're a team that have worked very well. Of course, we got Sack, Eden, and Timotopper. We're going to leave the jungle and the ADC role up to your imagination. On the flip side, Versic, of course, is, NA in the top side, Strangler in the jungle, Tycool, Sorenjay, and Dokai to roll up right back out. And, of course, we will have those players ready for you on your feed because they will be playing and hopefully giving a great what for once again. And, I mean, you said it best, I think, Shibby. It is very important that you get that extra life in there, that you had the potential to actually move up and have a little bit of a chance, but at the same time, we are playing on 14.4. There's a little bit of a WhatsApp, 2 champions very specifically not going to be there, so taking a look, do we expect to see some crazy picks come out here? I mean, we've seen pretty much standard, I think. We've also seen some heavy carry performances. Do we get to see silly for the final game? Are we going to see these teams lock in a more standardized composition?
Yeah, I think, if you're really want that upper bracket, you want that second life, you're going to take it as seriously as you want, right, as possible for both of these teams. Are we going to get something standard? That could be the methodology, or they could go something that they've never pulled out before, because this is one of those once in a blue moon opportunities where you can set yourselves up for a really, really good game and a really, really good tournament potentially into the playoffs. So, I mean, am I expecting insane picks? I'm expecting it more on the Versic side rather than the Paragon, but maybe Zika can speak more to that.
A Paragon, or what is the X Machina roster, which is confusing to say the least. It's another one of our teams who have been together for quite a long time. We kind of have 3 teams who have played together for a long, long time, and that is Ruddy Painkillers, Lions Creed Academy, and Paragon under Ex Machina. Now, the interesting thing about Paragon is they do a lot of different things. You've got a consistent carry, and you've got a top side that will do whatever they want whenever they want. How you then make that into something is anybody's guess, but it's been working for them. They found their groove with, I believe it's Refresh, Snepex, Timotopper, Lasped, and recently Sack, and I believe that is the roster they're running with today as well. They've been able to find their groove. They've been able to find these leads, and it's allowing them a lot more room to play. So, to answer your question, am I expecting weird picks? Yes, absolutely. This is Paragon, and there's not at least one weird pick. I think something's gone wrong somewhere with Rob's drafting, for one. But I also think they will just take it seriously, and they will try their best, because this is one of the teams that has something to prove coming up from Div 2.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big parts about it, I mean, I think Rob actually has something else to play for. I mean, there is a reason that right now this current situation is abound. There is someone very specific, very close to, I think, Rob, that had some fun words to be said. Zika, give us a little bit of what this message on our screen has implicated for it, because it was so fantastic. We got to hear about it. It's pretty funny.
So for those who watched Div 2 last split, you will know that Brody is ex-Paragon. Rob has been with Paragon for a long time as their coach, and Brody was one of the better players on the roster throughout Div 2. Definitely put on a lot of carry performances. Now part of Nuclear Vikings. Of course, Nuclear Vikings on Monday. Who did they beat? Just beat Verzik. So Brody, in beating Verzik, has given Paragon this chance at 4th. And now Brody is like, go get it. That way, us having a disaster split and then, you know, finally coming online at the end wasn't all for nothing. It's fighting talk. It's fighting talk. But it makes a lot of sense, and I think it shows the faith that players have in this team. This is a team that, again, has been together for a long, long time. And Rob at the helm of it all, coaching this roster, Rob is a great guy and is a very smart guy. And I have no doubt that whatever is pulled out today has been in preparation for a long, long time.
And Shibby, to that note, that is something that Verzik have to be aware of, because on Monday's game, I had the pleasure of actually casting the final fight, and it was, if you are on the losing side of a game ender like that, where, you know, it's just one last moment, quite literally Nuclear are one Hail Mary away from taking the game, and they make it, they pass. Verzik on the flip side, they lose. It was basically their one shot to not have to deal with this situation. Going into day 2, I mean, this is one of the situations where if you have not researched, that is a problem. We are expecting Verzik to come up with some fire, but are they going to come back with a little chip on their shoulder? Are they still going to have kind of that weight from day 1, or do you think they're able to brush off that unfortunate loss and come into this kind of refreshed, ready for the opponent in front?
Oh, you fully lean into the villain arc, right? You crush Paragon's dreams into the dust. You grind it and you spit it out. You take it in. That's what I'm doing if I'm Verzik. I'm going in. I'm going to put this message. When I beat Paragon, that's going to be my banner on Twitter. I'm going to spam it. I would lean into it if I'm Verzik, right? Just absolutely come in with the fury of 1,000 suns, the hatred of everything, and just crush Paragon. That's what I would do.
It fits.
Don't
as
chip
well,
on
right?
my shoulder.
It fits as well. Their logo is a demon. Playing the villain arc is exactly what they're meant to do.
It's too real, and I love that narrative, because at the end of the day, we can talk about the season, we can talk about the stats, and I know the stats have so much weight behind them. These are two teams that have played against each other. They have, as you said, Chica, a very storied history between them. The first match that they played in the earlier stages, in the earlier weeks, was a nasty one. There comes a point where we do have to say, this has to almost feel like a brand new game. There is a point where you have to sit there and kind of throw what has been away, and that's what you hope to see coming into the draft here. This is going to be very, very important to see some very specific champions come out here, and hopefully the teams get what they want. Of course, you can go ahead and see the Udyr taken away from Sheeta. Not the set, but I mean, the set's been on and off. You know, I love Sheeta, but we'll send it up there. The Udyr not allowed here in this game.
That's a Strangler pick, right? Like, that's the Udyr. You're taking that. I'm the #1 Strangler Glazer.
both.
I know that's a Strangler. The brand, yeah. And Paragon understands the best player on Verzik's team right now. Strangler has impressed me.
This is actually really interesting because Tycool and Soren J also had very good performances. It does bear worth mentioning very quickly. Both of these teams have 2-0'd Belfast, which is the team they will be facing should they go to lower bracket. Should they lose this game, they'll be facing Belfast Storm in that lower bracket. So, you know, the trade-off is there, but you do want that second double elimination. It's true. Parascon as well, Soren J, one of the champions we have seen Soren J perform the best on. But Tycool's champion pool, totally untouched. Sheeta's champion pool, pretty much totally untouched. This is dangerous.
I'm sitting there, and these are a lot of general bans too. There's a Volibear that we got to see in the previous game as well. It's starting to make its rounds here. I'm interested though. This leaves a lot of opportunities for both Paragon as well as Versa to kind of pick up these power champions, right?
Yeah, Senna's left up. You've got Smolder available, Karma, right? Like, there are a lot of power picks at the moment that Versa can kind of slot into here, depending if you want to deny the Senna Nautilus and force Paragon on something. Senna, one of those divisive champions, in my opinion. I don't think that's going to get locked in. I would love it, but I don't think it is. Senna, one of those champions that is infinitely scaling, has a really early power spike with the lethality build. I've been very impressed. Locking the Ashe here, though, if Paragon opt in for this Senna Nautilus lane, the Nautilus is not going to have a good time. Sack is just going to hate his life.
Yeah, I mean, this is still a flex pick, right? It could still go to
Yeah.
Dokai. It could still be taking support. So
Yeah.
Fucking Ezreal
It's
Ash.
true. Oh god, just the entirety of range.
Just lock it.
I don't
in.
want to touch anyone. I don't want to see anyone.
there's,
I'm
there's
just
the
good.
strangler pick we
However,
want.
Yep. This Xin Zhao, I've been, I've cast a lot of NA, I cast Collegiate, whatever you want to say. I love the UK ELs whenever I see aggressive junglers, because when they're aggressive, they are pretty aggressive, I would say, and it does stand out. So I really do appreciate it, especially against the likes of Ascena. One of the best ways to shut it down. Hey, try and jump on them early, get ahead of them. And this is even going to help out a little bit further. I mean, Paragon are leaning in to this type. We talked about some of those flexes, but that really does feel like a Senna Seraphine bot lane right now.
I can't lie. I didn't realize that Paragon turned into Lion's Creed. No, yeah, Senna
True.
Seraphine. It's a solid lane. You work well with each other. Question is, who's taking the Senna? My instinct says Lasp. Snepex, Poppy, also good. You've got a good scaling comp here. You need some kind of bridge, because if not, that Xin Zhao's going to run circles around you, and we know Strangler is proficient at it. We've seen Strangler. 1 minute he's here, the next minute, straight into the backline of the enemy team.
Yeah, I love this.
and-
And the Nautilus is kind of scary. After showing the Poppy pick, it feels like this Poppy is just designed to kind of deny this full engage composition, right? You got the Ashe, you get the pick on. If Poppy is just in the vicinity, even if somebody gets hit by that Enchanted Crystal Arrow, Poppy can press W, and now you've lost your pick tool, right? You've traded an ult for a basic ability. I don't know where Versik need to pivot here necessarily, right? If they want to go more for like a long range kind of mage. As I say that, they banned the way out, so maybe they're just going to hyper index into full engage and say, you know what? Snepex can't stop all of us.
That's exactly what I was thinking, right? It's like Steadfast Presence, it's great if you layer all of your engage, but realistically, are they going to be layering all of their engage? Probably not. Non-committal dashing from Xin Zhao. Nautilus, sure, the hook gets stopped. You just door up depth charge, or you walk away. At that point, you have non-committal. Ashe, non-committal engage. You don't have to be taking fights. You can very easily take picks on people who are out of position. So, I think while the Poppy is good, it's not a total wreck of what Versik have going for themselves at the moment, but it does counter a lot of Sheeta's champions. I think that's the big thing here, is Sheeta is typically the big playmaker for Versik, and if you're putting him out of the game, things get a little bit, well, where are we going?
And you can even see it there, right? The identification that, hey, we might need to start focusing on that top side. Sheeta is not, even though you get counterpick, right? We've seen a lot of players, yes, they get counterpick, but that counterpick is, of course, hinging on the fact that it still meshes with the rest of the team, especially with something like this. You do need to mesh, so start focusing that top side, and there is that set that we talked about. That set, Sheeta's played set a few times. Sheeta has played set a few times. It is understood. It still has varying degrees of success, at least the times that I've seen it. So,
and of course,
This
you
should
can't
be Ornn.
you can't block
right?
set ult with Poppy W either. So set has free access into the back line. It should be Ornn technically.
Yeah,
but
they banned the Aatrox.
You still have access to Braum though, because Seraphine can go mid.
That's true. They would. I don't know if Timotomper wants to be the person piloting the Seraphine mid, especially with kind of how he's been going insane recently with all these different roles and different picks and everything like that.
4 unique roles over the course of the split.
Yeah, I know. He's just been playing everything. He's a man of many trades here. I don't think this Aurelion Sol is actually
oh my god!
Hang on. Do we get Dragon Duo?
Smolder as well?
No, I mean there's another dragon. There is another dragon, Shibby. Come on, it's one that we don't see too often.
We don't get Shyvana.
No, come on. It's up. It's there. It's available.
We don't get
And if
Shyvana.
you want to get a bit silly in this final game, you go, okay. No.
Right.
It's just your tried and true. Like, okay.
More of a refresh
This
champion.
feels a little bit more Paragon's way.
Yeah, that's more of a refresh champion. The Smolder was cooking a little bit. Refresh is definitely more of a Bruiser player. But, you see angle for Double Dragon, you say, hey, look, Double Dragon. And now the Lightning Ram. Please don't pick
So, if this still falls in line with non-committal. This still falls in line with non-committal.
No.
This does still
Cannon
my
is full
gosh.
committal. Cannon is full. No, there's
Listen,
no
listen.
more.
I give him the
There's
benefit
no
of the doubt.
more.
It is not. You can say on the edge. You can say on the edge because I've never seen any cannons in my solo queue hit a 5-man ult. Okay, listen. I've never seen it. To be fair, Sheeta's gonna have to, right? Like this is Versik. I want to get. We're gonna get rolling pretty quickly, but Zika, give me your thoughts. Your face fell when we saw that cannon come out here.
I mean, it's okay, but how are you killing anybody? I mean, you can slicing Maelstrom all you want. You are massively outranged by the 3 carries of this team. There's a Senna, a Seraphine, and a Radiant Soul who just kind of exist. Double your screen away. You can't do anything to them. Sure, you've got a lot of other follow-up, and you play decent ball delivery for the Orianna, but then you've got the Poppy to contend with. You can't really get on top of them for the ball delivery because you've got Steadfast Presence, and you've got Keeper's Verdict, and the Kennen is not going to have fun. If you picked it, you picked it pretty much entirely to snowball the lane, and I don't see it happening.
I love it.
Shivy.
I love it. I love the Versik Cup. Look, Paragon have this convalescent, home, scaling, lethargic composition. They've got Aurelion Soul. They've got Jax. They've got Seraphine. They're not going to skirmish. They're not going to fight for your dragon at 6 minutes. 12 minutes.
Yep.
Versix, you know what? Let's fight. Let's skirmish. Let's hit level 6. Let's bring it to their faces. I think if Versix can come out to early leads on some of these lanes, stack the dragons, force Paragon to fight when they're not ready. Hey, we've got a 24-minute X Soul coming up. You either fight us or you lose the game here. That could be detrimental, right? I mean, it is take a little bit of luck on the Versix side if they can roll something like an Infernal Soul, potentially Mountain Soul or whatever. But yeah, if this game goes past like, what, 28, 29 minutes, Paragon kind of just win with better champions, right?
All right, well, listen, final thoughts here. I got to give a prediction because we know one of these teams is walking away without a second life, and one of them is facing up most likely against the first seed here in our division. Shibby, let's start with you. Do you lay your bets down on one side or the other? Are you just kind of putting it right in the middle?
My faith is in Strangler. My faith is in Versik. The way I've been talking about them, they're going to take it.
All right, Zika?
I love the demons, but I'm an agent of chaos, and frankly, I prefer the draft here. It's Paragon all the way. Bring it home, lads.
All right,
This one's
desk
for you.
is split. Yes, Zika. The desk is currently split. Let's see if the casters are as well. We're going to throw it over to Temporal and Ijun to go ahead and get us rolling into the game.
Hopefully going to get soon into the game. I didn't expect to see you, Temporal, so early on. You know, I was honestly expecting more to see the Rift, but we are here. It is going to be a very interesting game. Of course, whoever wins this will be on 4th. Whoever loses it will be on 5th, which has a lot of playoff implications. Also, we do have quite a bit of a push and pull dynamic here, if we can say so. One team wants to just go all in, while the other wants to kind of play defensive and play, you know, keep out all those times. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, you know,
Paragon have definitely got more tools, right? Like, I think they can go forwards as well, but they have options, this modality. If this Versik comp hits Soren J's magical enchanted crystal arrow, they dive in on top, they're going to be eating Asena's full damage, they're going to be eating the Seraphine, they're going to be in the comfort zone. The Timotopper's Aurelion Soul. Like Zika, I'm favoring Paragon here, but you know, it's all on the lines. This is essentially the start of playoffs. We're just diluting the first best of 3 down into a best of 1.
Indeed, and I mean, like how we have our casters, or I mean our analysts split, I'll also play a bit of a devil's advocate over here. Of course, my brain says Paragon, but my heart says Versix, because this team, they go so hard when they are engaging and stuff, right? You got the Nautilus, you got the Ashe. I mean, the Wombo combo with the Zen Ori, with the Zen Ori cannon, like, need I say more? I love it. It's exciting, but it's going to be really hard, and I feel like this early game is going to be so important, because I feel like this game's a lot about the momentum, right? How much momentum can Versik get onto these first couple minutes to make Paragon play scared, play unconfident, and keep making them want to play way too safe.
Yeah, you want to get Xin Zhao out on the map. You want him to really push the power that champion has in the first few levels. I think Paragon know that as well. They send Timotopper in for a late ward onto the Raptor camp, and that means they will know which direction Strangler is pathing in, and from there should be able to just like calmly, smoothly navigate the early game. That's the way Paragon are going to approach this.
We do see from the jungle on Verzik that Strangler is starting from the top side. Maybe he wants to look for an early gank top, or he'll go all the way to the bottom to help out, of course, Soren J and Dokai on this bot lane. Probably the only lane where I'm not entirely sure if they have the priority in the early game, of course, but they do have that early push and those early level 2s.
Yeah, you got the Nautilus as well. It's the setup you want, even if you move him out to the Scuttle Crab and try and pick off SnapX on this Poppy. Pretty tough deal to take Poppy jungle down so early on. And yeah, as you mentioned, you know, that Senna's a monster right now on 14.4. Has not had the, I must admit, very mild nerfs that have gone through on live. 14.5 for everyone at home that you are playing on. And
I mean, honestly, even if it was 14.5, she'd probably be as strong as she is right now.
It's 20% bonus AD. Like, Freak, I love you, buddy, but that's not the nerf that was needed.
Yeah, indeed. Obviously, in the top lane here, we do have this Kennen versus Jax ranged melee matchup. How do you feel about this matchup? Like, because it feels like Kennen should have a bit of an advantage, but with Jax just being able to jump in so easily, it feels like he might have a hard time himself. Like,
it's actually
or Kennen might have a hard time just running away.
Yeah, I've been playing Kennen versus Jax top lanes on both sides since like 2012. Since, are you ready, chat? This is your age check. Will of the Ancients was a popular item. That was AoE spell vamp, aura, and it was built first item on Kennen and Vladimir. They were solo queue terrors and even competitive mainstays that season for a decent chunk of it. And Refresh will be trading his health bar, trading position, and using Leap Strike carefully, because if Shader starts using cooldowns and falling away backwards, he loses position on the wave. You enter this delicate dance where the Jax is okay dropping health early on, because in and all-in, he'll still win out against the Kennen. It's a very delicate lineup. Strangler, just like a delicate lineup in top, not ready to dash toward last and sack. He has cancelled his recall. He's really taking his time down here.
Yeah, no,
the wave
Strangler,
is pushing out. Here he
comes.
comes.
Okay, he's going in now. The flash comes out from Dokai, gets the hook into Sack. Sack has nothing else to run away from this situation. So boom, first blood goes to Strangler, and that's a really nice, successful, clean gank from Verzik. Gets that bot lane a nice chunky lead.
Decent setup. I wanted to see Lasp try and go for the root under tower. Was holding the double ability. Not sure if the E was ready, but the shield, I believe, was the choice. Shield and heal. Not enough. Keep Sack alive, and they do drop. Strangler finds his mark in the early game.
Indeed, indeed. We did, of course, also see SnapX kind of vying a bit for a gank on top lane because both Shada and Refresh got so low, but in the end, SnapX decided not to do anything there. Instead, he right now is hovering around this bot side, but with that pink ward, they will be able to see that he is just doing fine there. Meanwhile, in mid lane, of course, Aurelion Sol and
immediate dragon starter from SnapX.
Wow, yeah.
This is, if we go by win rate, the more valuable objective in the early game. Dragon stacking still a real presence. Timatopper here will have to base.
Okay, hook is landed, but Dokai has very little follow-up, so he's getting chunked down quite low here. SnapX has to back off. The dragon aggro has been reset, so the HP is back to full. It seems like Strangler, Tycool wants to make sure this dragon is taken. They want to get that early game ball rolling. So just like that, I think Paragon will concede this dragon, and that first dragon, an Ocean Soul, going over to Verzik.
Yeah, you could argue that it was a bit too much of a snap engage that Sanjay and Dokai could come across with the TP in from Timatopper and his ultimate being ready. Tycool missing Shockwave at the time has only just unlocked it back in lane. Would have loved Paragon to try and go for a late snap engage after Verzik had been tanking the dragon. Not to be. We're in a high tension situation, audience. This is to determine who goes to lower bracket and who will earn their place in upper bracket, likely against Ruddy, the winners of our regular season earlier tonight. And with that, it is okay to not be completely to the wall and just take a moment and breathe in what is potentially the most important game of the split so far.
Oh yes, indeed. The tension definitely is being felt here. SnapX taking over the Void Grubs here. That will be the 3 Void Grubs going over to Paragon. Kind of a nice bonus for them, considering that they did lose Dragon, of course. But
Yeah,
in the
not
meantime,
gonna be
there in
happy
top
with
lane, it seems like Sheeta's doing a really good job. I mean, looking at the health difference here, Refresh just having a really hard time just getting anywhere close to the minions. Like, I think in the beginning, Refresh had a nice, like, CS lead, but now the CS lead has kind of evened out because he's been kind of starved a bit.
If anything, that's like Jack's still doing just fine. You are the melee in this melee range matchup, and your all-ins will continue to get like consecutively stronger. Like Jack's side lane's far better than Kennen. It's a little minutia to the backwards and forwards. There's a health lining up a little bit more. Refreshes will only go down though. He does not have the ability to stay off the wave.
Ooh, my god, Refresh gets solo. Shada with the ultimate deals so much damage, and he will just make Refresh back off, forcing him to go back. He doesn't have a TP, so this will hurt a bit, of course. Strangler taking over this red buff over here. Yeah.
It's a slow push in. Strangler doing well. And after the Void Grub's toast, a little bit of side-to-side jungling will come through. Bot side controlled by Verzik. I don't know why I just tried to call vertical jungling side-to-side jungling. I guess it's more side-to-side than up and down, really, isn't it? Let's face it. But Strangler now much stronger. Has just had Dragon. I don't think he was gifted solo XP, but still, it's something. And the full sweep of the jungle, that control ward, will do a lot of work for Verzik. The Xin Zhao has his level 6. Probably wants to try and make a play now, either onto top or mid. Continue to spread that advantage, and you mentioned it earlier, Ejun, it's about the pace.
Ooh, the flash stun comes in. Snepix chasing over, and look how fast this Poppy is. Uses the ultimate to get the knock up. It's a bit too little too late for Strangler. Refresh gets a nice revenge kill. Oh, my bad. No, he didn't even get a... It's not even a revenge kill. It's just straight up a kill. So that's really nice for this Jax, of course. And we kind of talked about the early game, mid game, late game dynamic, and it seems like Paragon so far are doing really good. A 1k advantage for them, despite the early like attempts from Verzik.
If they keep the neutral game up, they'll do better and better. That gank there represents a double win. Jax will start to accelerate now. Wave clear easy with the Tiamat. Ignore this blue buff. It is largely meaningless. Although Snapx...
Oh, he didn't really check, so he actually... He didn't know that Strangler was taking it.
Potentially. His smite was a second away, so maybe he just wanted to respect it, but still. Yeah, if the icon's still there, the buff is still alive. So could have gone for that. Could have tried to pick it up. Everyone always remembers that right after it happens to them. But Strangler is still off tempo, even though he's got another quadrant to pick up. He couldn't get a gank in on top side. His level 6 has not been used proactively. The Xin Zhao needs to keep the work going. That's the main weakness of this champion in competitive. We need to see the gas. We need to see it all the time. Strangler has spent the last 2 minutes clearing camps. And while he is individually strong, this is not the gas Verzik need.
Yeah. Another gas that's kind of building up, of course, you know, speaking of, like, champions and scaling. No, my bad. I was trying to think of a good tangent to get into Aurelion Sol, but essentially Aurelion Sol has a nice bit of CS lead. It's not really something you would expect against the Orianna.
I love it.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at.
Off on a tangent.
But you immediately started laughing, so I got so
beautiful.
I lost my confidence there. I lost my confidence.
Beautiful tangent. Never lose your confidence. You're a great caster. All right.
Thank you very much.
Wave coming in top. This is great sign for Refresh. Like little CS differential. It's good. It's fine. His first item. Only a few hundred gold away. Maximum. He's got that sweep down on top side as well. Love top laners coming down and trying to use the plants to get a little bit more advantage. They know Paragon, the Strangler, not in that river, not approaching. Second grubs on spawn, and with the dragon coming up as well, Paragon coming out of base. Let's see how they use the lead they've got so far. Refresh on teleport, and Timatopa straight out of base on this Rylai's Crystal Scepter.
That is true. I mean, despite the gold lead, of course, I'd still probably favor Verzik at the moment in terms of sheer like champion strength. So if they can get the second dragon,
Ash Arrow was up completely. Otherwise, I want to see something creative.
Wait, Strangler? Oh, he's just kind of caught between 3 people. Ult is being used by Timatopper, and Strangler has to bash away from this. Now Snepik finds himself between 2 people, but oh my god, a really nice bit of a combo between him and Sack. Little alley-oop there. Gets them the 2 kills, and this all the advantage they need for the dragon. Strangler, hopefully that leaving the game was just an internet issue.
Let's assume tech issues look a bit weird. Spectator client, you know, at the best of times might say one or two funny things on toast. Let's go over a replay of that fight. We called the Ashe arrow missing, and in the front to back, that can really give Verzik some struggles. Imagine Timatopper getting nailed right there with Ashe ult straight into a shockwave would be devastating. Instead, the front to back extends. Snepex given so much time, so healthy, with the Senna healing, with the ultimate over the top, more than enough to get Timatopper 2 on the board and push Paragon to a 2,500 gold lead.
Oh man, like out of everyone to give kills, that is probably the worst. Timatopper on this Aurelion Sol getting 2 kills. Thank you very much, Observer. That's some amazing camera movement, of course.
June.
Yes, we are here again. I am doing fine. I hope you're doing great too. You know, hopefully the technical issues will resolve in a bit. But yeah, so far, game state wise, I think both of us, I think you can agree with me, Tempo, with that. Okay, back into the game, but so far it's going so well for Paragon, and Verzik just really struggling to get any form of a lead.
This is what we wanted, short of an, you know, international team versus G2 Shade a massive slicing Maelstrom to like turn the mid game on its head. This is what Paragon are playing for. This is what Rob's composition, as we highlighted in draft, Paragon's coach under a lot of pressure today, guide his team through and get them into that upper bracket would be a huge win in their first season in the Four Nations, coming up from Division 2. You know, pressure's on. Second Grubs, not a big deal for Paragon right now. If you do secure that first Grubs and you transfer the advantage over into a Dragon, an Infernal Dragon at that, not bad at all. Getting the second Grubs will only give you that Void buff on towers. And you know, that's nice. Spawning the Grubs is better. That requires 5. No pressure for Snepex to show up here and try and push the advantage. That's done by stacking the dragons, delaying the game later on. Verzik maybe should have gone for all 4 dragons as fast as possible here. They haven't managed to make that happen. Therefore, our mid game is going to extend even longer and give Paragon even more time.
Yeah, no, it's really starting to look a little bit more dire for the side of Verzik. They, of course, still do have a chance. It's not over yet, but they definitely have to get the ball rolling somewhere. I'm just trying to look quickly into, like, who do they have an advantage in, and really nowhere. Everywhere it's either going even or better for Paragon, so that's definitely not a good sign at all.
It's probably the way these champion matchups are going to go. Time being a double-edged sword in League of Legends, there is always, you know, the hope as Shada gets engaged upon.
Ooh, this duel is quite deadly, but Refresh has the E flash QW into the auto. Oh my god, Shada gets so low. Just a slither of HP, but he's able to run away, but nonetheless, this is still a win for Refresher, of course. But wait, Strangler is around, and Refresher wants these turret platings. He is going to get it. The Ashe arrow misses by just a bit. Yep, Strangler gets that hit. It should probably be a kill, but then a TP comes in. Timatopper trying to help out, trying to get this kill on Shada. Shada uses the flash, tries to get away, but not enough. Timatopper uses his own flash, able to get away from the shock blast. Not the shock blast, my bad. Shockwave, but yeah. Nonetheless, that's another kill for the Aurelion. So meanwhile, here in the bot lane, more action. Dokai goes down because Snepex doing the cross map play, helping out his bot laners. And now Soren J is completely alone between running away from 3 members of Paragon. TP used by Tycool, just trying to help out and alleviate some pressure. Whew.
Cascading escalation across the map favors Paragon, even though they commit heavy in top side where they'd already lost their top laner. And you highlighted it as well, Ejun, in the cross map, still going, they extend further.
Oh my god, and Timatopper's on rampage! Aurelion Sol has 4 kills, he has a 500 gold shutdown. I always knew dragons hoarded like gold and stuff like that. This is a bit too much, isn't it? Soren J having to run away. Look how much of a menace Timatopper is already, and the Poppy E into the wall gets Snepex an easy kill.
4 kills, 4 positions Timatopper has played this season. An absolute hero for this Paragon roster. He started off in support. He went top lane, he went jungle. He's played a lot more mid since. He's having an absolute stonker. His Aurelion Sol has shown up time and time again. And to generate such a lead at 15 minutes, 3,000 gold. Aurelion Sol, a heavy scaler. He's getting there so fast. 2,000 gold already over Tycool. Missing in Verzic's most recent defeat to Nuclear Vikings. Another key, crucial part of their roster that weaves their mid-game and late-game together up against his greatest challenger.
Oh, man. I mean, just the Aurelion alone, it's just making this look so difficult for Verzic. Just like 4 kills,
it's hard.
like 2,000 gold up. Now they're also taking Herald, and obviously if you're from the side of Verzic, you really can't do much to stop this. As long as Aurelion is anywhere close to that area, they're just not going to win any fights. Dragon coming up in 30 seconds too. I doubt they'll have prio for that either. Man, what can you do? Timotopper, oh wait, coming in bot alone because Refresh is here to help out as well. And my god, Soren J and Dokai, they are absolutely shredded. Like, I don't know, Parmesan or something like that. Oh my god, well played.
Parmesan, jeez. Verzic look lost, they look discoordinated right now. They sent their bot lane down despite Paragon already rotating up to an objective. Teleports committed from Refresh, from Paragon, mean that they now have numbers advantage at this dragon as it spawns. Snepex moving in, already picking up the Rift Herald so they could acquire that priority if that play in the bot lane had only yielded summoner spells. And now Snepex will bash that one in, do most of the tower's health, spawn some grubs, and keep Tycool locked down. Members of Paragon now rotate first into the river. If we are looking for Verzic to find a way back into this game, they've looked lost their last 3 games together. A Strangler looks potentially not quite going in. Their last 3 games together as a full roster were against our top 3. They beat Lion's Creed, they beat Ruddy, they crushed Venom Crest. They look confident. They were smooth throughout the mid game. This is their getting back on point.
Oh yes indeed. My god, this dragon. If they get this as well, like, I don't know what the angle is for Verzic. Oh, and he, of course, he used the Poppy ultimate to make sure that the steal was not possible. Oh wait, but the Ash Arrow onto Timotopper. Oh, but then comes the ultimate for last, and the follow-up is not good enough. Wait a second, maybe it is. I just completely was wrong. Timotopper goes down, the shutdown. This wombo combo, this was exactly what we were talking about. Tycho using the flash, stun, shutdown once again. All these shutdown just piling onto the members of Verzic. My god, that was the wombo combo we were looking at.
In the front to back, they cannot have Timotopper still. They're defended from the Ash Arrow. They have ways around it. But Sack with Summoner Hill still up and not able to keep Timotopper alive. Hit by multiple CC, the Ash Arrow into the Shockwave, into the Depth Charge. Far too much for Paragon to hold on.
Oh wow, and just like that, the gold lead really shrunk down to just about 1k. They're getting a turret on the top side. They might even get one on the boss side. Never mind, Shada has to back off, but this is quite good for them. Oh my god, here comes the dragon. Timotopper versus Shada. I wonder who's going to win, the dragon or this little ninja dude. I don't know.
This little ninja dude. He's getting out of there.
Able to get out of there, but still, that just really shows the strength that that shows the strength of Aurelion Sol right now in this game. 6-1, 2 items completed already.
Let's look at this startup. I call this going in because in my mind, Soren J should have already lanced the Ash Arrow and Shada should just be on the flank. Instead, they find the way around Snepex. His Vanguard is just about down, and even though the front line gets stunned up, Tycool offset on the top, so the Shockwave completes Shada over the top. The final piece of CDC to break the front to back. That's what Verzic's composition want to do. We criticized it because if the Seraphine lands, they're not going to be able to follow it by splitting and spreading and actively thinking about it. Verzic have survived a terrible mid-game and decreased the gold lead to 2,000.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's still not in a good position, but this definitely gives them a lot of windows. I think a lot of the kills went to relevant members of their team. Shada, Strangler, and Soren J all got a kill off of that. And now they're all looking much more better, much more healthier, at least completing their first item or working on their second. But they have to hurry up, I feel like. It's the time's still against them.
Absolutely. They still have to keep that gas going. Baron is a pretty big ask. Soren J does a reasonable amount of damage, but it's not really enough on his own. We haven't got Ludens anywhere else. We haven't got percentage health damage anywhere else. Conversely, on Paragon, the Aurelion Sol with Leandries and Aurelion Sol himself will eat the objective for breakfast, despite its increased health bar this season. Let's look at what Verzic are trying to do right now. 3 down mid. That's a pretty good roaming squad. Shada close at the side. I doubt they're going to find something on this, especially if they are pushing out. Where they now go with their vision, Paragon have a defensive line over their chickens and red buff, and a few pieces on the other side of the map at Verzik, red buff, and Raptors. That's pretty safe, that's pretty fair. That's a line Verzik will struggle to cross into the Baron. So they're going to be relying on Hawk shots. It's not a position where they can make a proactive play without committing 4 or 5 people near the Baron pit that they can't take. So I'm completely fine with them splitting up and just trying to stay alive with some mid push.
Yeah. We will have to see. Exactly. Man. Oh, man. This game, it's quite tense. Like, I honestly don't know how to feel, because that team fight felt so nice for Verzik, but in the same time, it was also because Soren J got that amazing Ash Arrow on exactly the right target, Aurelion Sol.
I like this from Verzik. They have hit the arrow, they have
gets
the
caught
flank.
out with the arrow. Flash ult from the Nautilus, boom coming in, all the damage stacking up. A lot of shield coming in as well, but they finally get the kill on last. But Refresh has TP'd in, and he decides not to go in, realizing that this definitely isn't going to be a fight they want to take. So backs off from that. So that's just another nice kill, but still, the core members of Paragon are still alive and healthy. Timitopper also has like this what do you call it, magic shield as well from that item. So
yeah,
it's gonna be extra hard to like crack through that.
Big fan of Stopwatch going away, and conversely, I can't remember. So is it Verdant Barrier? Little Banshee's Veil now has a Little Banshee's Veil, and Little Zhonya's in Seeker's Arm Guard now has Little Zhonya's on it. Very, very cool optimization. Remember the items team. Big fan of it here. No more Ash Arrows hitting Timitopper in neutral game states.
Yeah, no, that is definitely going to be something that Verzik is going to have to find an answer to. It feels like they need to like at least come like to a pretty good range into Timitopper before they can get that shield down, but that feels so hard to do. I mean, yeah, they'll have to expose themselves basically. Snapix getting the stun on Dokai. Everybody's just piling in, and oh yeah, this Nautilus is nearly not tanky enough. Meanwhile, Refresh just gets a solo kill on Soren J. There is this follow-up, but everybody is charmed, and everybody's just getting absolutely shredded once again by Timitopper on this Aurelion Sol. He's 7-1-4. He has 226 CS. This Dragon's an absolute beast, and now they're going for Baron.
Tycool is bot, and PRG are pinging it now, so they're gonna go for this. Did Tycool TP to bot there, or did he get? They think there is a cancel at that range. Incredible scenes. Refresh holding a strong position at the front of the fight, allows Paragon so much space, allows them an easy front to back. Aurelion Sol does function a lot like an AD carry. His damage doesn't fall away. It's really consistent with those little spikes around completing the stacks. It's enough to power through Verzik. We'll have a look at how this starts off here. Refresh holds off Soren J. Timitopper comes through the front, and both join up nicely. And even though Refresh does fall, the setup are more than enough for the remaining members of Paragon to absolutely let loose. Clean win. So, Tycool I don't think was teleporting to that fight. That was maybe the call to get started from Paragon, and Refresh did not wait.
No. Oh, okay, they get a catch here on Snapix. Snapix is getting bounced like a ping pong ball. Boom, he goes down. Dragon is up, so this is their good chance to take this Dragon because no jungler interference at all. It seems like Paragon wants to answer with a mid push of their own, trying to get that mid tower, open up the map even more. Of course, Verzik's now taking the... Yeah, no wave though, so I don't think they're going to be successful in that at all. It's just a nice pick and just a nice Dragon from the side of Verzik. That's good and all.
Oh, Shada.
Still 5k. Oh, wait a second. Shada.
No.
Oh my god, with the flank handle. Boom comes in with the cannon ultimate. Gets a kill on Sack. Forces out the flash from Timitopper, but that flash isn't enough because now Strangler is absolutely trying to strangle this dude right now. Boom goes in again. Like Aurelion Sol is really strong, but without his team to support him and peel for him, it's just not enough. But of course, Paragon, ever proactive. Refresh is taking down this top turret, and no, my bad, not top turret, bot inhib turret, and he will be able to take it out, no problem. Soren has to be careful though, of course. This is a Jax, he can just jump in, but he will instead jump out. So,
I always do that. When you get to the inhibitor, I'm like, yeah, I'm in their base. I must be top lane.
Yeah,
it's the feeling, it's the vibe. And 25 minutes getting the tier 3. Nice cross map from Refresh, who split a different way out of the Dragon. Unfortunately, I think we could kind of read it when the minion lane wave went down mid. I was like, like, you know, going there with no wave allows you to clear, but there's no clean exit with Shader already in the top side. Verzik able to pull another little miracle out of their hat. Storm Surge and Luden's now complete on Tycool. Second item through for Sarenjay is the Terminus. Allows him to be a little tankier, deal a little more damage. As you've been in combat. Oh no, another devastating
another arrow. Oh, and just the follow-up's too much. Sack goes down without even a shred of resistance there, of course. We do have Refresh pushing top, though, so demanding attention once again from the 5-man Doom squad of Verzik. This is probably a really good way to kind of counter Verzik's like game plan. I mean, they are strongest when they're all together and kind of like layering CC and damage, but if you keep having to divert their attention to side lanes, it feels like they can never be 5.
Yeah, you can always shave away at their wins. It's the second time that they've ran someone through with Paragon not respecting vision falling away. First time was on mid into last, and then they catch Sack there. Would like Paragon to maybe take this a little slow. They do have the Umbral Glaive. They should be sending one person with Senna into these areas. And then even if you've got it covered, you have the knowledge that Verzik can't attack meaningfully and pick someone out again.
Yeah, I mean, Verzik has been playing pretty well so far this mid-game, but it still feels like for some reason that gold lead is not shrinking. The items are just growing from the side of Paragon, and they're just becoming more and more dangerous as the game goes on. I mean, soon we'll have a 3rd item done for Timatopper.
Yeah.
Soon, I mean, right now we have 3 items done for the Jax.
Yeah, particularly that goes double for Lasp and Sack, whose items are so much cheaper than their counterparts. Like Seraphine's items, all of them a few hundred gold less than Sarenjay's Ashe items. You know, particularly I think Kraken Slayer is like still 3,000. I know Staff of Flowing Water doesn't cost 3,000 gold. I haven't built one in a long time. Definitely cheap enough to just be that little bit more efficient. And it's helping. It's doubling me an advantage.
Oh, wait a second. Refresh is able to get that turret, and the ultimate has already been used. Shada has to use his stopwatch, but is it going to be enough? No, it is not. Refresh just getting an easy kill. Tycho using the teleport, but he can't help out his teammate at all. Just has to play defense here as all 5 members of Paragon are here together, just sieging down the top Inhib. Meanwhile, no one from Verzik is anywhere close, so that's just free Inhib just gone down. Yes, they can get the mid tower here, but hey... Tier 1 mid tower for Inhib? Yeah.
Ice
not really
cold
the best trade.
from Refresh. Arrows, teleports, does not care. Relaxed in his lane. A second inhibitor falls to the split push to the 1v2 of this Jax.
Oh man, and that's kind of the scaling we were talking about. That was so worrying. I mean, this Jax has become an absolute menace. His stat 333, and with that Triforce, I think that gives him a buff as well. I don't know, I might be completely wrong, but you know, I feel like if your stat has a bunch of 3s in it.
Oh yeah, it helps. It helps. You know, it's down to 2s with the ultimate as well. What a parallel to a few minutes earlier, where Verzik routed Paragon from a close play. They involved the side lane, and through mid they were caught, they were pulled apart, and Verzik got a bit of their disadvantage back. Instead, this time a 1v2 from the Jax, the scaling coming through, and an exit through mid just results in a little front-to-back play. Doesn't come to a big all-in fight, just a little bit of trading. And this time round, it is the scaling of Paragon. It's starting to show its face more and more directly. Once again, they run back out onto the map. Snepek separated here. If Verzik read this, if they see him on that, they do see him on the ward, I think they're from Tribush. They should be engaging this. Shieda teleporting in, they'll have the flank, they'll look for Timatopper.
This dragon is really important. I think if Verzik takes the dragon, they still have a chance, but if they lose it, I feel like all that chance might be gone. Refresh using his counter strike, trying to get in something. Okay, we have Strangler just caught out in the middle. Oh my god, the sheer amount of AoE coming down from everybody from the side of Paragon is way too much. But in the same time, Verzik is fighting back and they're trying their best. Members are getting low, but Refresh, ooh, he gets a kill, but then he goes down as well, and now we just have Timatopper alone cleaning everything up while his teammates are supporting him. He's flying in hot, and you have Tycool I mean, he's not able to run away at all, and that's just another teamfight victory for Paragon, and that will be them denying this third Drake and getting it themselves.
Yeah, they set up for the Baron. Cool, calm, and collected play. Timatopper actually delayed his way in. His shield was dropped quite early on. I thought Strangler might have been able to flash to take it off. I didn't see what took it off, but before the all-in, in a bit of a setup, they lost that shield. They didn't want to lose Timatopper to another all-in, so he came in so late. The refresh was already pretty much spent. Queens up through the backline. Excellent play from Paragon. They know Verzik are fishing for their carries, trying to break the front to back. They delay so far that while they lose an extra member, they win the fight guaranteed.
Oh man, that fight went
Let's
closer
see.
than I thought.
What takes Timatopper's shield off? So Shieda runs around the back. Snepex is tanking this whole time. Refresh on the front. Black hole down. So they've secured this setup. Timatopper's still running on the shield. Snepex comes in. Shieda on the back line with the flash slicing Maelstrom. Breaks things up, slows things down. Refresh still doing work in the front. Snepex pretty much a Malphite ultimate traded for Poppy there. Timatopper now comes through afterwards as we jump back to live. The Baron going down. The front to back more than enough. No room to run against the Aurelion Sol.
Yeah, I mean, this Aurelion Sol has become basically like a Thanos version of a dragon, basically. Like, just so difficult to deal with. And of course, now that the Aurelion Sol is so strong, they shred the Baron as well. So that's Baron going to Paragon as well. It feels like the window is completely closed, or it's very close to just closing completely for Verzik in terms of a chance for them to find a victorious angle. I mean, what do? You're 8k downs, and the scaling is against you, and you need to go win while Paragon can just sit back and relax.
I could say that Kennen needs a flash slicing Maelstrom onto Timatopper in the backline, but that happened last fight. Ashera goes wide. Pretty speculative from Saranjay. No follow-up. That will now be
every missed arrow is also like just such a more demoralizing situation.
It feels bad, just like Varusol, you know, when those goes away. Oh. Deep sadness. It's also 30 seconds now, which Paragon could walk up, be confident as they assault the remaining tier 3 tower. Refreshes through the inhibitor on the top side. Verzik's last stand not far away.
Yeah, I mean, 2 inhibs down. If the third one goes down as well, I think this game is almost certainly over. I mean, it probably is almost certainly over, but like at that point, it's like 99.99% or something like that.
Yeah, top inhibs respawned. They haven't got a lot of room to maneuver here. We want the all-in. We want a slicing Maelstrom that gets 5. We want the Ashe to be able to free fire and Timatopper to fall nice and early. Donkai not quite finding the hook. Verzik really do have their back up against the wall.
Oh, Shada having to use this Maelstrom, but it's just not going to hit anybody relevant enough. The ultimates, the bing bongs, the whole Shamalala is coming out from the side of Paragon. It is way too much for Verzik to deal with. It was too much for them to deal with 10 minutes ago, and definitely at 33 minutes. It's just not even close. And just like that, Paragon gets this victory, and that means that they will be in the top 4. Pushing Verzik's down to the 5th, place, so they get an extra life in the playoffs. Really well played from them.
From Division 2 all the way to the upper bracket in the final game of the regular season. Congratulations, Paragon. Verzik shouldn't be too sad. We remember the situation, I think, Ejun, I think we cast that last series where Verzik ran the entire lower bracket. Didn't quite make it through finals. Had a pretty good run there last split. All still to come. A little aside before we throw back to the desk. Thank you so much for watching the Four Nations this split. We've had technical issues. We've had all sorts of things to struggle with. Thank you to the teams and the players for doing so much. It means a lot to me. I think it means a lot to our audience as well that we've made it all the way through the regular season, and now we're here to enjoy fantastic playoffs. Ejun, it's been a pleasure as always.
Oh, yes, for sure. It's been an absolute pleasure. Casting for UKEL has always been amazing for me, and just so many great people to work with. And obviously the community is great as well. Seeing Twitch chat is always a pleasure. Seeing people chat on Discord and talking about games and stuff is always super fun. And, pleasure was all mine as well. Yeah, and yeah, that's the end of the regular season, and I think basically what's up for us.
Yeah, I think we're going to join you in Twitch chat in a moment, and we're going to kick it to the desk to break down the last of our regular season with playoffs on the horizon.
Thank you so much for that one. It was a time to be had, and I mean, Zika, it sounds like Verati did some work right there. Said, yo, we're passing the torch over. Paragon, you got this one shot that we made happen for you. And it worked out in the end, thanks to some exceptional play from an exceptional player.
Yeah, that was a game of all time, shall we say. A very, very good game from Paragon, all told. Verzik's base being completely broken, Verzik's hopes of having that safety net completely broken. Of course, it was mentioned earlier in the show, but I will reiterate it now. With this win, Paragon secure fourth place with no tiebreaker. This puts them at the same win-loss ratio as Verzik. They are both 7-7. However, Paragon have the 2-0 head-to-head, therefore are the highest seed. So Paragon are your fourth seed. They will have that 2-life system in the double elimination playoffs. Verzik down up against Belfast Storm in that lower bracket. One series loss.
Yep, and I mean it started with one specific moment. We all on the desk were like, "This is bad." Shibby, if you want to walk us through it, this is the first replay we have. This was, I believe, about 11 minutes into the game. This was a problem.
Yeah, this was a bit of a confusing thing, right? Like, it sounds or looks like Verzik want to set up for this dragon here, but the AD carry Ashe isn't here. So now it's a 4v3, and who's going to be first to move? Of course it's going to be Timatopper, because he's on ASOL. He's always first to move to everything, and you're going to see more of that. He's just everywhere, space gliding around the map. And yeah, numbers advantages are going to win you majority of fights, and so Verzik, they just weren't prepared, I to get collapsed on so quickly. That's why you kind of saw them like, wait, what's happening? We're dying right now? And Paragon just easy cleanup.
And that is the one fight that we said felt like it was... we hate to say it at 11:15 into the game, but it felt like the door shut at that point. When you give a dragon 2 kills, things get dire. And how hard did that shut? We moved all the way. There were multiple times throughout the game, by the way, that we wanted to look at these fights. We wanted to look at Timatopper, but it just felt like it was supposed to happen. That culminated into, I think, another time. I mean, Timatopper at the end of the day was sitting at like six kills or something, massive farm lead. It was disgusting work at the end of the day. I mean, I've never seen an ASOL skill that hard before in a while, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, ASOL with an early lead just kind of says, I'm going to roll this game, and it happens. I think the final scoreline was 16-4-8, I want to say.
Yeah.
For Timatopper there. It was something very close to that. It was an absolutely stellar performance coming out of this player. Absolutely insane. But yeah, I mean, there was moments in that game where we were like, okay, Verzik, you're doing well. You know, you've won a fight. And then something else happened, and it was like, okay. Yeah, Timatopper was the star of the hour.
Yeah, when he picked up Crypt Bloom, when he picked up Rylays, and you see Shada like ulting over. Guys, I got the flank. This ASOL's not dying. Wait a minute. He's got like 4,000 health. I'm confused. Yeah. Nobody on Verzik's side can follow up because they just got a meteor dropped upon them. It was like really, there were like scenarios where you could see Verzik try to go for what their team composition was supposed to do, but Timatopper and the rest of Paragon just kind of weathered the storm, really.
Yeah, I think we actually had that replay up, Shibby, so we really like that breakdown. And Zika, we want to watch you talk about this because this was the moment where we're like, something, oh, nope, it's kind of over.
Yeah, so it's a good engage from Verzik, but the 3-man Skies Descend catches onto the backline. They're out of the fight. Timatopper can flash out of the Slicing Maelstrom. He's fine. We were like, how is this fight? How are they still winning this fight? And then you realize Timatopper's gone untouched this entire time, and now the dragon breathes Verzik's last, completely running over the rest of this fight. You see Timatopper going through everybody. Tycool is but another member on the list of people who have fallen to the Space Dragon's might. And that pretty much spelled the end of the game. I think there was one fight after that, and it was just gone. That was it. That's all she wrote. And Paragon, I mean, the demons were they tried.
11-8. Yeah.
Weren't quite Hellborn today. 11-8, yeah. Weren't quite Hellborn today, but that was it was a good showing, right? Like, I think if this ASOL doesn't get 2 early kills, this game looks so different because you then realize that you have a lot of pick potential, and it looks like SnapX isn't quite on it with the steadfast presences from the early game. So there is options if there isn't that lead there to begin with.
Yeah,
on the flip
with
side,
Riley's.
Yep, that was it.
Asaul with Riley's.
Shivy's
at
been
like
talking
8
about that
minutes.
for the yeah.
Dude, like, yeah, it's not gonna happen anymore. He's got the stankiest morning breath, and he's just gonna run through Versik when he's got Riley's. Like 8 minutes in, he's diving bottom lane while his top lane is like doing another. They're just cross mapping everywhere. Yeah, that game was. I think what did we say? Like 12 minutes in. Yeah, this is kind of over a little bit.
Yeah. Huge shout out to Refresh on the top side, doing some work, by the way, for the team. We didn't really get it pointed out because I mean Timitopper is ridiculous, and that actually is a reason why they're in playoffs with a second life. Let's go ahead, take a look at the standings, and we'll see what some of these matchups are going to hopefully look like. We know what the top 6 are. We also know who hopefully we'll be facing off against who. So let's take a look right now with the earlier matchups. We had quite a fantastic time. We had a nice little set of, I want to say, interesting support picks as well. The Camille came out and had a little bit of fun to play with, by the way. Double Dorans was a little bit silly. All I remember is us discussing on the desk later, and Sheikah was like, did you see that one before? That was an interesting one. Sheikah, going into playoffs, before we throw up the standings, because I think we're still trying to manage it real quick, do you think we are going to get more of those exceptional, interesting bot lane pickups? Because it does feel like some of these teams do like to hinge on some of those crazier bot lane matchups really steamrolling through there.
I think it's possible. I think the only reason we saw the Camille is because it is something that has been running rampant in high elo. I don't really know why. I would love to tell you the whys of it, but I'm not sure. I think it's because Bloodsong is so strong. She's got a good early presence. You know, she's got good damage. She supplements out the Senna really well, because that's normally what you'll see it with. But outside of more Camille, I think we're looking more standard still anyway. The meta's just in a place where support doesn't really have much room to breathe. You're looking at Nautilus, you're looking at Rel, you're looking at Rakan, you're looking at these standard picks that are always good. So if we see any weird picks, it'll either be things like the Camille that have risen to priority in Halo solo queue, or we're looking at other lanes and seeing what they can bring to the table, or something maybe like the Smolder top lane.
Yes.
No, Shivy, you stop right now. I seen your solo queue record. We're not doing this today. All right, let's go ahead and go to the standings real quick. We are going to take a look at the top of the table. And as you can see, already Esports with the win earlier feel pretty dang good. Lions Creek going to follow behind Venom Crest and Paragon to round out 3rd and 4th. And then Versik and Belfast sitting in the lower bracket awaiting their one and only fate. Shibby, I mean, taking a look at these standings, this is kind of what we expected. But, I mean, it feels pretty exciting heading into playoffs.
100%, right? I think for me, I had a lot more faith in this first round matchup for Paragon if they end up facing Ruddy, right, or Lions Creed. Versik had that 1-1 scoreline. Paragon actually hasn't beaten any of these 3 top teams, I believe, if I'm looking at it. Like, it's a tough road ahead of them. They're able to beat Versik, but these other 3 guys, they're a completely different beast. And I'm still a Versik believer. I think they'll just make the lower bracket run. It doesn't matter. It's just, you're playing on hard mode. Don't worry about it, right? You set the difficulty up to 20. I believe in Versik.
And taking a look, I mean, I think we do have a playoff, a brief view of the playoffs bracket as well, because while I don't believe we have the full setup, there it is, we are going to see, this is how the play out, and this is why we're talking about that lower bracket run. There is still a chance for someone to make it through. As we were saying, 5th and 6th seed do play off against each other, and then the winner of that match will go on into the further rounds. So that is what we were mentioning before. On the top side of the bracket, reason we were discussing 1st and 2nd, very important because of the fact that you do get your own seed choice. This is all going to start off, of course, on March 11th at 1900 GMT. Set your watches because you'll definitely want to tune into those ones. Of course, as we also said, this is going to be a little different shakeup on the match as well. No longer is it a best of one, because good lord, if we did playoffs in a best of one, I would be sad. But at the end of the day, that is going to be it here for the regular season. As you heard from our casters on the desk, it was quite an enjoyable time. Jika, it was lovely having you on the desk here. Any final thoughts before we send it off?
I'm really excited. I don't mind what the matchups are. I'm expecting we're going to see Ruddy versus Paragon and Lions Creed versus Venom Crest. But I'm excited for them nonetheless. And just to clarify for anybody at home, for those wondering, the 3-11 scorelines between Belfast and Nuclear Vikings. Nuclear Vikings actually were 0-2 in that matchup, so couldn't win the tiebreaker for that. Hence how we can have our top 6 teams there ready and waiting for us.
All right, and Shibby, I know we've seen you in and out here a few times. I mean, how you feeling here? You excited? Maybe even do the playoffs a little bit? How you feeling about the regular split here?
I'm super excited. Yeah, I think my schedule has opened up a little bit. Wherever Versik is, I will be there. Wherever Versik is, I will be there. I'm the number 1 fan. If they have 1 million fans, I'm one of them, man.
Yeah, there it is. I knew it was coming.
If they have only 1 fan, it's me. I believe in the lower bracket run. I feel bad for the top teams because one of them's going to have to face Versik. One of them is.
Versik, they did it last split. They made the lower bracket run. Didn't quite make finals, but they did do it. I would shock me if they did it again. It's this team's story.
Yeah, I mean, I think we even got Temporal on that train as well. So, there's a few people on that Versik train, but of course, we'll have to wait and see. Remember, set your clocks. It is going to be March 11th when playoffs start, and we get to see these teams really face off and what we would call that test of time. Thank you again to Shibby and Jika, both of you, for joining me here on the desk. Jika, for the entire day's work, of course, covering 3 games in one way or another. And shout out to the rest of the production staff for putting on this amazing regular season. It's been an amazing double round robin matchup. To everyone tuning in, thank you so much. Shout out to Project Gap as well, allowing us to put on this amazing show here at the UKEL 4 Nations broadcast. That is the end of the regular season, and we'll see you all in just a few days.